Chapter 161, Self-Strategy, The Princess's Devotion, Shiji's Pre-Battle Sweet Treat. The night was as black as ink. It was late when the group from Shrek Academy finally returned to the Star Emperor Hotel. Shu Yan looked each of them over, smiled, and said, "You're all smart people. You know what can be said and what can't. I've always acted with propriety. I treat friends with courtesy, but as for my enemies, I'll cut them down to the roots." Everyone's hearts tightened, but no one dared contradict him. This young man, far younger than most, had already become an existence beyond their reach. They all knew 2 words would hang over the Void Realm in the days to come, shining brightly: Shu Yan. He smiled faintly and continued, "Get some rest. There's still the Douluo Tournament tomorrow. Oh, and about the soul spirit matter. I'm not joking. Those who want in, report to Ma Xiaotao. She'll tally them and tell me." Ma Xiaotao's eyes brightened. Shu Yan's words set her mind racing. Was he really entrusting such an important task to her? Did that mean he trusted and valued her? After all, his 3 girlfriends were right beside him. Shu Yan, if he had known what she was thinking, might have laughed. In truth, he had given her the job simply because he didn't want his own women wasting their time on it. Whether Ma Xiaotao would be suitable to handle it was something he wasn't worried about. He had other priorities. Another night of earth-shaking events passed. The next day, while still lazily watching the competition from the stands, Shu Yan received an invitation from Princess Shujuju to come to the Star Luo Imperial Palace. He greeted Han Roro, then rose and followed the imperial attendant into the palace. Inside, he found Shujuju waiting. After a brief exchange of greetings, she smiled and said, "We're about the same age. No need to be so formal when it's just the 2 of us. If you don't mind, call me Juju." Shu Yan raised an eyebrow, smiled, and answered, "Then I'll do as you say, Princess Juju." A radiant smile lit Shujuju's face. She turned and made a small, inviting gesture. "Shu Yan, you're clever. You should know why I asked you here, right?" "Oh, what does your highness mean?" Shu Yan asked, feigning innocence. Shujuju's eyes showed a flash of impatience. She snorted softly and said, "I'll be straightforward. I invited you here because of that ice jade scorpion left arm bone." Shu Yan chuckled. "What, is the Star Luo Empire planning to give that spirit bone to us?" Shujuju's smile deepened. "Not impossible, but there's a condition." "And what is that?" "Marry me. If you do, the spirit bone will be yours, and you may pick 3 treasures from the imperial treasury." Shu Yan feigned disappointment. "If that's the case, I'm afraid I'll miss out. Your Highness, you should know I already have a girlfriend. Besides, my main reason for wanting that spirit bone is for her." Shujuju rolled her eyes at him and increased her pace. They soon arrived in a grand hall where a middle-aged man in a pale golden robe sat at the head. Handsome and effortlessly noble in every gesture, he was Emperor Su Jiawei of the Star Luo Empire. Shu Yan bowed. The emperor waved off the formality. "I summoned you today to confirm one thing. Is your second spirit truly the legendary Ice Jade King Scorpion?" Su Jiawei asked. Shu Yan nodded. Shu Jiawei's expression flickered with surprise. Then he continued, "After our deliberation last night, we decided to buy that Ice Jade Scorpion left arm bone ourselves to avoid any credibility issues. However, we've removed it from auction. To thank your academy for alerting us, we've decided to use the bone as a prize. If Shrek Academy wins this year's All-Continent Advanced Spirit Master Douluo Tournament, we will award the left arm bone to your academy as an extra reward. We ask that your academy keep this confidential." On the surface, it was a gift to the academy. In reality, it would go to Shu Yan, the one who had pointed out the problem. Shu Yan bowed again, neither overly polite nor dismissive. Both he and Ling Luochen needed the spirit bone, and since the Star Luo Empire was willing to give it to them, he had no reason to refuse. Gifts like this often carried hidden costs, but this one seemed harmless. Shu Jiawei's smile deepened. If giving away a spirit bone that only ultimate attribute spirit masters could absorb could build closer ties with Shu Yan, it was a small price to pay. The bone would be put to better use in capable hands. After some more familiar conversation, Shujuju led Shu Yan out while Shu Jiawei watched them go, thinking, if Shu Yan didn't already have a girlfriend, he might have done everything possible to bring the 2 together. As emperor and as a brother, arranging a suitable marriage for his sister would be ideal. No man had stirred Juju's feelings in years. Shu Yan was unusual. Just standing there, he made others pale in comparison. Juju's upbringing had made her used to elegance and intellectual poise, but few could meet her as an equal. Shu Yan had shaken her internal balance. In some ways, Juju's reaction resembled Ma Xiaotao's. Similar psychological patterns, not identical. Back at the Star Emperor Hotel, Shu Yan immediately began research. Spirit abilities are derived from a spirit beast's bloodline and genes. The Ice Jade King Scorpion and the Snow Empress belonged to the same clan and shared many genetic traits. What Shu Yan needed to do was analyze the segment of the bloodline responsible for the Ice Burst skill using his mental force, and have the Snow Empress replicate it into her spirit bone. There was no precedent, so success wasn't guaranteed. But after only one night of work, a smile appeared on Shu Yan's face. "It's feasible," he said, "but it will take some time." The Snow Empress brightened. "Amazing. I never thought it could be done this way. A Yan, we've made history again." "This is also thanks to Elder Yi, Xieji, and Tianmeng," Shu Yan replied with a light chuckle. "Otherwise, we'd probably have to sit on this for much longer." "Keep it up," the Snow Empress said, clenching a fist. "I have no objection, but there are more important things to deal with first." Shu Yan accepted the sweet tea Han Roro handed him and drank it. He looked into the distance, his meaning clear. "Good. I love fighting and plundering. This time you'll have a few more level 9 spirit-guiding slaves, Shu Yan. Don't you think you should thank me properly?" Shiji giggled and hugged him from behind. Shu Yan's head sank against her warm curves. Her breath warmed his neck, intoxicating. "Is that so? Then go buy a whip you like," she teased. "Consider that my reward to you." He leaned into her embrace, content, and chuckled softly. Shiji's face flushed slightly. Her fingertips brushed Shu Yan's cheek, and she delayed answering, prolonging the moment. A moonless, windy night. Shu Yan streaked across the high sky at extreme speed, Shiji's voice ringing in his ear. "Shu Yan, according to intelligence from the Star Luo Empire, there are many powerful escorts with those Sun Moon Empire people. And I found something interesting just now." Shu Yan cut through the clouds and asked as he advanced, "Brief me." Shiji smiled oddly. "It's the Holy Spirit Church. They brought a super Douluo and a titled Douluo, plus a squad of spirit Douluos and spirit saints. Also, a group that looks like the Body Sect. Their leader is a super Douluo, about level 98. Their aura almost touches the limit Douluo realm. There are 2 other titled Douluo whose strength is average. It's quite lively," she continued. "If I hadn't stopped Elder Xuan, Shrek Academy would have gotten involved. Once Shrek joins, the Star Luo Empire would have to enter, and others would jump in too." Shu Yan let out a soft laugh. "Isn't it better when more people are involved? I like the action." Shiji kept giggling. During this period, she and the others had signed soul spirit contracts with Shu Yan. Because their spirit bodies had been condensed with their original bodies, the soul spirits and their physical forms had merged. Though Shiji and the others hadn't quite returned to their peak, their combat strength had increased significantly. Shiji, the Snow Empress, and the Demon Emperor were all powerful, approaching or within the limit Douluo tier. Shiji skirted the quasi-demigod boundary, while the Snow Empress and the Demon Emperor were near the god realm. Without full materialization and home field advantage, their strength was reduced, but still formidable. The Snow Empress, at full force, could contend with a level 97 to 98 Super Douluo. With their lineup, taking out the Body Sect's mountain gate wouldn't be a problem. They flew to the northernmost tip of the Mingdo mountain range at the Star Luo border. The Mingdo range marked the border between the Star Luo and Sun Moon empires and was one of the continent's largest and most mysterious ranges. The area before Shu Yan was one of the weaker spots in the range and lay less than 300 kilometers from the Tianhun Empire, a sensitive stretch by nature. A violent green light already covered much of the night sky. Spirit-guiding device cannonballs and energy rays plunged from above, detonating with thunderous explosions. Flames leapt into the air, and the sounds of battle carried raw ferocity. "It's lively," Shieji observed. 4 level 9 spirit-guiding devices, each specialized: heavy attack, agility, defense, and support. With those 4 as the core, and level 7 and 8 devices assisting, their formation is hard to break without a limit Douluo. If their charging cannons hit, they could kill a titled Douluo. Shiji, having been around Shu Yan, had learned much about spirit guiding devices. Mental attribute spirit masters were best suited to become soul guiding devices, and although Shiji wasn't a spirit master, as a mental attribute vicious beast, she could become one quickly if she chose. Ye Shishui was a good example. She only began learning to create and use such devices after reaching limit Douluo. Shiji, however, preferred pure spirit power and mental force. She wasn't interested in devices unless they could level gods. They've been fighting a while, Shu Yan said, concealed in the Void Realm. The Body Sect and Mingde Hall have taken heavy losses. The evil soul masters are lurking, probably planning to strike from the shadows. Hidden nearby were an evil soul master Super Douluo, a titled Douluo, and over 100 evil soul master fodder, observing the battle. Suddenly, Sheiji produced half a watermelon out of nowhere, scooped a piece with a spoon, and brought it to Shu Yan's mouth. Try it. I brought it from the hotel. All the melon seeds, peanuts, and nuts I had are gone, so this is it. Shu Yan hesitated, then took a bite under her expectant gaze. Is it sweet? She asked. Quite sweet, but it tastes a bit too sweet, he said, frowning slightly. Shiji's grin went mischievous. There's a big battle coming, and another big battle when we get back. I worried you might be weak, so I added specially prepared 1,000-year whale glue and 10,000-year Yang Spirit sea urchin. Heh. I guarantee you'll be full of energy when the fighting starts. As she finished speaking, a surge of Yang fire raced through Shu Yan. Sheiji giggled, leaning close to whisper in his ear while her hands wandered. An evil soul beast indeed. She knew how to play her games. Chapter 162, Chaos. The Body Sect, the Holy Spirit Church, and the Bitter Snow Empress. After Sheiji's teasing, Shu Yan burned with indignation, itching to strike back. Sheiji, however, remained perfectly unbothered, lounging with her usual easy air. Teasing Shu Yan had become one of her favorite pastimes, a little revenge for all the bullying he'd inflicted on her every day. On the battlefield, the fighting only intensified. Both the Body Sect and Mingde Hall took losses, but unexpectedly, Mingde Hall's burly, fearless fighters suffered the heavier casualties. Shu Yan watched with growing admiration. The formation Mingde Hall deployed, built around numerous 9th-rank spirit tools, was terrifyingly effective. It was nearly airtight, exceptionally defensive, yet capable of bizarre and varied offensive maneuvers. In a prolonged war of attrition, the Body Sect was likely to be at a disadvantage. Poison Douluo had just smashed an 8th-rank spirit tool to pieces when a blinding beam from a 9th-rank spirit tool rushed toward him, forcing him to fall back. At that instant, 4 9th-rank spirit tools in the sky seized the chance. Several of those 9th-rank devices concentrated their energy into a blood-red beam, no bigger than a bowl, moving with a speed that seemed to pierce space. A titled Douluo from the Body Sect, only rank 92, felt his scalp prickle. Instinctively, he triggered the Body Spirit's strongest secret, the secondary awakening. A bronze light flared behind him, congealing into the shape of a pair of giant hands. The bronze light hardened, and an oppressive weight seemed to press down on the world. Body Spirit Hand, bronze rank secondary awakening, someone called. The titled Douluo's full combat power surged by 60%. If the true dragon spirit's power came from its terrifying bloodline and raw attributes, the Body Spirit's true strength lay precisely in secondary awakenings. The Body Sect was the only super sect with the secret method for Body Spirit users to undergo this secondary awakening, the reason many called it a paradise for Body Spirit practitioners. Joining the Body Sect meant not only access to that secret, but also receiving care and protection from the sect from top to bottom. To many, it seemed perfect. Even so, after the Bronze Awakening, the titled Douluo's aura leapt nearly 2 ranks, nearing Super Douluo, but the blood-red beam pierced him anyway. His life aura collapsed to a faint thread. Old Su, another Body Sect titled Douluo, cried, his eyes rimmed in red. He wrenched free from a trio of entangling 8th-rank spirit tools and scrambled forward to catch Su's body. In the sky, the lead 9th-rank spirit tool sneered. Poison Douluo, people talk about how incomparable the Body Spirit is, how the Body Sect is a reclusive holy land. Today I see little proof of that. The future belongs to spirit tools. Your backward ways will be annihilated under their rays. Poison Douluo watched his disciples fall one after another under the encirclement of well-coordinated spirit tool formations. There was a feral light in his eyes. Still, the truth was plain. Mingde Hall had been prepared. Those 4 ninth-rank spirit tools were masters in their specialties, backed by over 10 other ninth-rank devices. Even a rank 98 cultivator like Poison Douluo could be thoroughly tangled and exhausted. Individual body sect fighters were powerful, but they had no answer for numerous perfectly equipped and coordinated high-rank spirit tools, especially on open ground, where the tools had room to operate. In a confined arena, things might be different. Poison Douluo's voice rang out over the field. Mingde Hall, you've made an enemy today. The body sect will repay this 1,000-fold. All body sect members retreat. A brilliant green light shot up from his body into the sky, forming a pillar dozens of meters wide. The 4 ninth-rank spirit tools adjusted their formation, the one specialized in defense stepping to the forefront. Its shield, reinforced by multiple 7th and 8th rank protective tools, intercepted the green pillar. When the light faded, the body sect members had already vanished without a trace. Not a single corpse remained. Humph. The body sect may have shaken the Douluo Continent, but that performance was underwhelming. Poison Douluo wasted 300,000-year spirit rings. One 9th rank operator sneered. Don't be smug, another replied in a low voice. Our losses weren't trivial either. Besides, the body sect underestimated us, and Poison Douluo held back. If he'd gone all out, it wouldn't have been so easy. We're in the Star Luo Empire, not a place to linger, a third voice said. Recently, the Empire has discovered and destroyed many of our secret routes. Our priority is to escort the Heart of Space back to the Empire. Let's finish quickly. Once we reach our territory, Old Wang and the others will receive us, and we can rest. Before he could finish, the 9th rank spirit tools specialist in agility suddenly went bloodshot-eyed. His body began to swell uncontrollably within mere breaths. None of his protective spirit tools activated. Old Song, the operator named Qin yelled, alarmed. Song's body swelled again, and then exploded like a cannon, taking several 9th rank spirit tools attached to him with it. The night flared as fire lit the battlefield. Hey! From the heart of the flames came a sinister laugh. 3 9th rank operators caught at close range began to froth blood at their mouths. Many 7th and 8th rank devices closer to the blast were shattered into shred and dust. The whole thing happened too fast and too strange for anyone to process immediately. Friends, as the saying goes, a spectator deserves a share. I want a piece of your treasure too. Will you be generous? 2 figures had appeared in the sky as if from nowhere. One was a middle-aged man in a black robe and hood, the other a woman in a purple-blue dress. Evil Soul Master, curse power. Qin stared at them, a nameless unease prickling him. Then recognition snapped into place. You're the cursed Douluo of the Holy Spirit Church. The man, the cursed Douluo, chuckled. His face looked only 40 or 50, but his voice was hoarse and ancient. Ha! I'm flattered you remember an old man from the Sun Moon Empire. You're dead. Didn't you die? Qin's voice trembled. Die? The cursed Douluo scoffed. I still have decades left. How could I die so easily? Before Qin could reply, another 9th rank operator stepped forward angrily. What do you want? You're from the Holy Spirit Church. You openly cursed and killed our Mingde Hall 9th rank operators. Aren't you worried we'll report this to the Hall Master and cut ties with your church? The cursed Douluo smiled thinly. What do I want? Isn't it obvious? The Pope's decree, kill you and bring the treasure back to the church. If not for that order, this old man wouldn't have broken seclusion during such a critical time, on the verge of a breakthrough. He and the woman exchanged glances. With a flick of their hands, countless evil soul masters, hidden in the dark, swarmed forward like hornets, their chi black and monstrous, rushing toward the remaining spirit tools. Holy Spirit Church, rank 96, with potential to break through to rank 97. Without accident, he should be one of the church's 12 worshippers. The woman by his side is rank 92, and from her spirit tools she's clearly a 9th rank operator. To be accompanying a worshipper, she must be a worshipper herself or an elder, Shu Yan said with a light chuckle. The Holy Spirit Church had 12 worshippers and 8 grand elders. The 8 grand elders were all titled Douluo or above. Among the 12 worshippers, 5 were super Douluo and the rest titled Douluo. This cursed Douluo, at least 150 years old, was one of the most formidable figures from the church's older generation. "Who cares about their pedigree?" Sheiji said, unconcerned. "Let them make a show. When they think they're about to win, I'll step in with a little surprise and let them taste real joy and sorrow." Shu Yan's tone grew serious. Evil soul masters follow a strict hierarchy. Before the Spirit Saint realm, they can cultivate explosively fast using dark methods. But after breaking into Spirit Saint, their growth slows dramatically. At the titled Douluo level, they need tens of times the effort of ordinary titled Douluo to gain a rank. At Super Douluo level, their ascent is painfully slow. A rank 96 Cursed Douluo is at least on par with an ordinary Super Douluo of Old Song's rank. He could probably hold his own against Old Xuan for a while. Shiji tilted her head. "Why so sure?" "He has a 100,000-year spirit ring," Shu Yan said, "and his specialty is curses, attacking a spirit master's spiritual core. That naturally counters Old Xuan. He isn't a half-trained evil soul master like that scorpion tiger Douluo. His cultivation, like yours, comes from slaughter and devouring." Shiji blinked. "How did you know about the spirit ring?" Shu Yan smirked and poked her glabella. "How? I saw him use his ninth spirit ability. Classmate little Shiji, have you let life soften you? The old you wouldn't ask such a naive question." Shiji flushed as realization sank in. Shu Yan looked at her like she'd never been scolded in her life. He wanted to beat some sense into her right then and there. She pouted, but soon relaxed. Snow Empress had drifted to them without anyone noticing. She frowned at Shiji, who was nearly draped over Shu Yan, and said, "Be serious, they're about to finish them over there." Shiji glanced back briefly, then shot a teasing look at Snow Empress and ignored her. As she turned back, a mischievous smile played at her lips. She leaned toward Shu Yan, whispering so softly only he could hear, "Sister Snow Empress seems jealous. Shu Yan, do you want to go hug her too?" Shu Yan pinched Shiji gently. She gasped and blushed, hugging Shu Yan tighter, as if wanting to melt into him. Snow Empress's brow tightened further. She wanted to step forward and separate the shameless pair, but she froze. She was only Shu Yan's soul spirit and partner. Shiji and Shu Yan had a deeper bond now. What right did she have to interfere? A strange, bitter feeling rose in her chest. Her proud nature left her unsure how to show herself to Shu Yan, unsure what was wrong. In the end, she only snorted and turned her face away. Shu Yan noticed the subtle change in Snow Empress's expression. A faint curve eased the corner of his mouth, perhaps the greatest gain of this trip. Shiji saw the slight smile too. For a moment, dissatisfaction flared in her heart. Then she too smiled, a charming crescent. "Snow Empress, you want a share of the meat? It's fine. I don't mind. But I'm curious how proud you'll look when you're squatting by my side." Chapter 163, Reversal and Acquisition, Inheritance of the Throne, Remodeling and Transformation. With two Douluo-ranked evil soul masters making a move and curse grudge, Douluo already having dealt with a level 9 soul-guiding device master using his curse-devouring power, the remaining three couldn't form their special formation again. Even if they tried, it would be fatally flawed, paper-thin against curse grudge Douluo. 9 spirit rings, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 red, streaked the sky, tinged with a dark, blood-colored haze. A heavy, tangible aura of death pressed down. As Shu Yan had said, the aura from this curse grudge Douluo was no less than that of Qingying Douluo Old Song. Even more surprising to the three was the young woman. Her spirit ring configuration was even more impressive. Her 8th ring was black with a reddish tint, clearly showing the spirit beast that granted it was one step from becoming a 100,000-year spirit beast. Unlike many evil soul masters, her spirit showed little of the destructive, murderous qi that comes from devouring life. Like Tongya, she was a plant-type spirit master. Her spirit a variant of a rose with an evil dark attribute and a mutated fire attribute. But her fire was yin fire, reminiscent of Ma Xiaotao's phoenix evil flame. "She's not a pure evil soul master," Snow Empress murmured. "Otherwise, with that spirit and technique, that level 9 soul-guiding device master wouldn't have lasted this long. Whether she's a full evil soul master or not, prepare to act. Those 2 level 9 masters are about to die," Shu Yan said casually. Curse Grudge Douluo's 9th spirit ability was an overbearing mental power. The two already weakened level 9 masters had no room to resist. At the brink of death, one of them suddenly laughed wildly. Ridiculous, truly ridiculous. You all went to so much trouble to ambush us, and you don't even know. The space heart is no longer with us. Haha, you all came away empty-handed. How tragic. I won't see the Empire's glory when it unites the continent, nor will I see you evil soul masters' tragic end like rats scurrying across the street. But I have no regrets. As his voice fell, Curse Grudge Douluo clenched his hand. The man's soul was pulled free and devoured by Curse Grudge Douluo's Curse Grudge. While Curse Grudge Douluo finished off the two level 9 masters, the woman stopped holding back. Her 9th spirit ring flared a dazzling red, and a vast sea of blue-purple roses erupted in midair. A faint floral scent drifted through the battlefield, then the huge flower sea burst into flame. The level 9 master took one last unwilling look at the setting sun before being burned to ashes. A spirit bone left on his corpse was collected into the woman's storage spirit tool. Curse Grudge Douluo noticed, but showed no concern. As their leaders fell, other soul-guiding masters were ruthlessly slaughtered by the evil soul masters. Yet when Curse Grudge Douluo inspected everyone's spirit tools, his expression darkened further. None, still none. Could it be that this old man and the others were truly deceived? His hoarse roar echoed through the sky. He bowed his head, his back arching into a posture like old Muse, and his aura went bleak. This seems unlikely. We had our people among them. Their every move was under our surveillance. The woman finally spoke. Her voice was unexpectedly pleasant, clear as wind chimes. Then what's the situation? The space heart isn't on them? Could it be that Jing Hongqian left behind some unimaginable trump card? Curse Grudge Douluo's eyes flashed, sinister and venomous, as if he wanted to tear Jing Hongqian apart. The Grand Matriarch had promised him that if he completed this mission and brought back the space heart, she would help him break through to the 97th rank and grant him Vice Matriarch status and blood food. Now, with that gone, he had every reason to be furious. The woman lowered her head and considered for a moment. Hard to say, but this isn't a place to linger. My identity is sensitive. It's not wise to stay. Let's return to the Empire first and report to the Matriarch. We'll decide our next move then. Curse Grudge. Douluo glared resentfully toward the Star Luo Empire's capital, but in the end he could only nod. The two raised their hands to gather the scattered evil soul masters who were on high alert. As they prepared to leave, a spider silk thread as fine as silver appeared out of thin air. In an instant, two Douluo-class evil soul masters and several spirit saints nearby were pierced through. They didn't even scream before turning into mummies, souls completely devoured. Panic and fury overtook the evil soul master camp. Curse Grudge Douluo's sinister eyes scanned the area. He waved violently. A massive evil spirit head shot forward. Two more spider silks ripped through it, shredding it to pieces. In the shimmer of light, Sheiji stepped out, smiling in a way that could charm all beings. Each of her steps caused the surrounding space to ripple and fracture. She ignored the lesser foes and fixed her gaze on Curse Grudge Douluo. Super Douluo, no, this aura is even stronger than the Matriarch's, she murmured. Curse Grudge Douluo stumbled back in disbelief. The potent evil aura rolling off slowly steadied him. He raised his hand, signaling the woman to stay back, and asked, "Are you also an evil soul master?" Shiji arched an eyebrow and chuckled. "Do I look like someone from Shrek Academy?" Curse Grudge Douluo's eyelids twitched. He spoke in a deep voice. "Evil soul masters don't make things difficult for each other. I see you're not of my Holy Spirit Church. Would you be interested in joining? With your strength, you'd be unrivaled, enjoying unimaginable blood food and power. If you can't beat them, recruit them." Curse Grudge Douluo's mind was clear. From Shiji's aura, he could tell how far she stood above him. If she joined the Holy Spirit Church, her status would eclipse his and rise to just below the highest authority. Failing to acquire the space heart, he hoped to make up for it by bringing such a powerhouse into the fold. He assumed no true evil soul master could refuse. But Shiji had already been given Shu Yan's divine rank position, and, frankly, she was in no mood to listen. Shu Yan's recent antics had left her head slightly rattled. She ignored Curse Grudge Douluo. "Are you done talking? Then prepare to die." She glanced lazily at him and flicked her hand. Countless spider silks shot out at impossible speed toward Curse-Grudge Douluo, his pupils constricted. This was nothing like his assumptions. In his mind, even if she wouldn't join the church, she would at least give them face for the Holy Spirit Church's name. If she knew of them and still attacked, then she was simply here to kill. While Shiji toyed with Curse-Grudge Douluo, Shu Yan activated Space Lock and pinned the woman midair. His blood-red fourth spirit ring flared, and his fourth ability, Space-Time Shatter, ignited. Black vortices ripped open, a crisp sound of space fracturing, rattling between heaven and earth. The starry sky was swallowed, and piercing wails filled the night. A moment later, Shu Yan put away his spoils from the battle and approached the woman. She looked surprisingly calm, though fear showed in her eyes. She was more composed than flustered. "Who are you?" she asked. Shu Yan chuckled softly and released the space lock. "Isn't it obvious? Hand over the space heart." She fell silent for a beat, then said, "I think you've misunderstood. The space heart isn't on me." Shu Yan hooked her chin with one hand. A trace of spatial power drilled into the pendant at her earlobe. As the restriction on her storage spirit tool was broken, a soft silver light bloomed, and the space heart floated out. "Heh!" Shu Yan smiled, and tentatively let a drop of his essence blood fall onto the space heart. The blood seeped in, and a silver light tinged with red flared. For an instant, the world froze. The sky seemed to split open, and a majestic, awe-inspiring figure stood against the light. Though his face remained indistinct, his gaze made the already unstable space break far more violently. Shu Yan looked up. He felt as if the gaze was fixed on him, a faint fervor in it. The figure raised a hand. Winds and clouds shifted. A brilliant silver beam plunged down and struck the space heart. The silver shell that had cloaked the mysterious artifact slowly melted away under the light. This supreme treasure, the legacy of a divinity, revealed its true form to Shu Yan for the first time. Magnificent, dazzling, mysterious. As the space heart and silver filaments merged into a spiritual sea, Shu Yan's smile died. Blinding pain tore through him, like a soul being shredded and reformed. Not even the life spirit massive in his spiritual sea could ease it. Shu Yan swung his right arm violently. His arm shattered through space after space as it descended. The strike used no spatial aid, pure physical power. Two massive super beast spirits and countless extraordinary super spirit bones had forged him an iron body beyond words. The pain raged for about 15 minutes before easing. By then he was covered in blood and sweat, kneeling in the void with a pale face and a wildly thudding heart. It was a baptism. When the pain passed, his spiritual sea had been shattered and remade. Boundless, infinite space now spread inside him. The old sea of life had vanished. Its surging life energy had merged entirely into him. His spiritual sea felt like a world freshly born from chaos, full of a primitive, pure chi. In its center floated a cyan-green cocoon, radiating life energy that attracted Snow Empress and the others who were recovering from their shock. "She's undergoing transformation," Ice Empress said with joy, holding Snow Empress's hand. A Yan's spiritual sea shattering and reshaping didn't just raise his spiritual sea. The life spirit's life level iterated again. We even felt a backlash. Our spiritual origins were purified, and our life levels show subtle advancement. Snow Empress smiled faintly, relief and emotion deep in her eyes. Choosing Shu Yan had been the right decision. Immortality and divinity were no longer just pipe dreams, they were becoming reality. Tianmeng, the smallest and weakest presence in the spiritual sea, trembled with excitement, almost mad with joy. Only they knew that Tianmeng's outburst came from being overwhelmed by the scene. Bro knew it. Bro would never choose wrong, a Yan. Bro loves you. When Bro becomes a true divinity, Bro will rule the extreme Northland. Ice Empress, Snow Empress, you'll all have to stand aside for me, Heavenly Emperor. Tianmeng raged, carried away by emotion, forgetting decorum. Ha ha! Heavenly Emperor? Are you worthy of that title? Dream Emperor suits you better. Emperor of Daydreams. Tianmeng, you really haven't changed. Ice Empress sneered. Snow Empress and the octagonal mysterious ice grass glanced over together. Their icy gazes made Tianmeng tremble and realize the enormity of its slip. Both Ice Empress and Snow Empress were fiercely possessive. Even as soul spirits, they considered themselves the true sovereigns of the extreme Northland. Tianmeng's boast sounded like rebellion. Nearby, the demon empress cast a cold glance at the blustering Tianmeng, then turned away indifferently. But there was something different in her eyes. Confidence had grown. Following Shu Yan, she felt, had not been the wrong choice. The transformation was complete. Shu Yan's path toward divinity was no longer a dream, and the power balance around him had shifted. After everything settled, Shu Yan looked up once more at the magnificent silver figure. It shifted slightly, and a voice, majestic enough to shake the world, filled his ears. "My legacy holder, I hold you in high regard. Cultivate well. Beyond this plane, there are infinite universes. Reaching divine rank is merely the beginning." Shu Yan bowed, steady and sincere. "Thank you, Senior, for your guidance. I will strive onward and not be confined to a single corner." The silver figure nodded in approval. Slowly it turned away, and the fissured sky began to knit itself back together under drifting motes of silver light. Just before it vanished, the figure looked back and left a final phrase that made Shu Yan's pupils tighten. "Be careful of the sea god." When the sky finally healed and the solidified space resumed operating, Shu Yan lowered his gaze and mused with a small, thoughtful smile. "Be careful of the sea god. Interesting. Lord Sea God really can't hide any longer." He glanced up at Shiji, who had returned with 4 spirit bones and a faint smile. "Clang, clang, clang. This old fellow's not bad. 100,000-year head spirit bone, and the other 3 are all over 50,000 years." He took the spirit bones from Shiji, inspected them briefly, and slid them into his storage spirit tool. Then he turned his attention to the woman in the formal dress. After a quick assessment, he asked, "Are you from Mingde Hall?" She didn't try to run. She knew she couldn't escape the two of them. Better to act obediently and hope for mercy. After a pause, she answered, "I'm a specially appointed elder of Mingde Hall, an elder of the Holy Spirit Church, and an Empire Marquise. 3 titles." Shu Yan suspected she might be a triple agent. Otherwise, she wouldn't have appeared as a Holy Spirit Church elder to help Mingde Hall's Level 9 Soul Guiding Device Master hide the Space Heart. He asked bluntly, "Tell me, do you want to live or die?" "I want to live. I swear by my spirit to serve you as my lord and become your loyal servant." Ming Yining knelt, her voice steady. She had seen the miracle moments earlier, and, quick-witted as she was, she understood the implication. Serving a divinity was infinitely safer and more comfortable than risking life as a spy. "What is your name?" Shu Yan asked. "Ming Yining." "Ming?" Shu Yan frowned. His knowledge of the Sun Moon Empire wasn't as deep as his knowledge of the original continent 3 kingdoms, but he knew the significance of the surname Ming. Sun and Moon together form Ming. Only one family in the Sun Moon Empire bore that name, the Ming family, powerful and entrenched in the Western Empire. 10,000 years ago, their ancestors helped found the empire. In recognition, the founding emperor granted them the Ming surname. It symbolized supreme honor and was still one of the most influential spirit master families in the Sun Moon Empire. "You were born into the Ming family, and yet you joined the Holy Spirit Church?" he asked. Ming Yining pressed her lips together. "That was my father's plan." "Your father?" "Yes. My father is Jing Hongchen." Shu Yan froze for a moment. "Your father is the Mingde Hall master?" "Yes. My mother came from the Ming main line and later married my father as his second wife." "Then why is your surname Ming?" "My maternal line retained a peerage that had to be passed on. I was gifted from a young age and was chosen to inherit that peerage. With my father's consent, I changed my name to Ming Yining." Shu Yan's expression tightened. "So Smile Hongchen and Dream Hongchen are your nephew and niece?" "Yes, master." Shu Yan's mouth twitched. "You adapt to identities quickly." "To become a servant of a divinity is an honor," Ming Yining said, eyes lowered. Shu Yan chuckled softly. "Sheiji, leave a soul imprint on her. And while you're at it, give her a little trouble. Wouldn't do for her to walk away unscathed." Sheiji's smile was all too knowing. She hooked Ming Yining's chin with a finger and kissed her forehead lightly. The girl's pupils dilated in surprise, confused for a moment. Then a commanding mental pressure rolled over her, and her doubts dissolved into obedient calm. Ming Yining didn't realize the full depth of the master-servant contract just then. Her thoughts were muffled by the rush of surrender to the dominant will imposed upon her. After dealing with Ming Yining, Shiji affectionately embraced Shu Yan, eyes burning. The intensity of the embrace was almost suffocating, two peaks threatening to collapse the future on Shu Yan's shoulders. Shu Yan, I knew you could do it. Let's go back to the hotel. I can't wait to reward you, Shiji purred. Shu Yan rolled his eyes. Are you rewarding me or rewarding yourself? You know the answer. Shiji didn't bother pretending. So what? I like being dominated by you. The stronger you are, the more I'm drawn to you. Only the strong can make me submit. The weak are only fit to be food. Shu Yan pinched her cheek but said nothing more. He understood Shiji's character. Forthright, bold, far bolder than the restrained Snow Empress. If the Snow Empress had Shiji's boldness, Shu Yan mused, she'd have fresh ice cream waiting every morning. After shooing Shiji's presumptuous hand away, Shu Yan said seriously, this outing made the body sect, Mingde Hall, and the Holy Spirit Church all suffer heavy losses. But the important thing is the God position legacy is secured. After the competition finishes, I'll go into seclusion to cultivate. Lord Sea God has already marked me. Who knows when he might make a big move? Shiji pouted. You usually hurt my strawberries so painfully. Why can't I pinch yours? So stingy. Shu Yan tapped her head. He'd long since become immune to her impropriety. Shiji pressed on. So what will you do with Ming Yining? Keeping her for what? Curiosity about the beauties of the Sun-Moon Empire? Her identity is useful, Shu Yan said. All right, back we go. Shiji took Shu Yan's hand, and in a flash of silver light, they vanished from the scene and reappeared in a luxurious suite at the Star Emperor Grand Hotel. Later, after briefly recounting the previous night's events to Han Ruoro and the others, Shu Yan produced the spirit bones. This 100,000-year head spirit bone should be from a bat-type spirit beast. Shiji and I think it's a 100,000-year dark spirit demonic bat. Bat spirit beasts tend toward mental attributes. Who wants it? The three girls exchanged glances. Wu Ming spoke up first. A mental attribute head spirit bone of 100,000 years, Ruo Ruo Jie, it suits you best. With it, you can break through to Super Douluo sooner. Ling Luochen agreed. Yes, Ming Jie and I can discuss the other bones later. Yan won't lack spirit bones in the future. Han Ruoro smiled and looked fondly at her little group. Are you sure? A mental attribute, 100,000-year head spirit bone isn't something you find often. Are you willing to give it to me? Definitely, came two simultaneous replies. Han Ruoro laughed, pinched both of their cheeks, and then surprised Wu Ming by saying she didn't need the bone. A Yan already brought me a 100,000-year head spirit bone from a sea spirit beast. That one suits me better. With that, she handed Shu Yan's bone to a stunned Wu Ming, then teased Shu Yan and Ling Luochen with a quick kiss each. Shu Yan explained, aside from the head bone now in Ruo Ruo's hand, Curse Grudge Douluo's remaining 4 spirit bones came from evil spirit beasts, extremely malevolent ones. Ordinary people would be harmed rather than helped by absorbing them. We'll keep those 3 bones as part of the family's foundation. They might be useful later. As for Luochen, he added, I do have an 80,000-year devil spirit great white shark skull, but I won't give it to you yet. Wait a little longer. I'll get you a 100,000-year head bone. Ling Luochen nodded without complaint. She hadn't yet fully mastered the powerful improvements from her spirit's ultimate attribute. She spent every spare moment cultivating ice control techniques under the Snow Empress's guidance. Her current setup was already top tier for her level. Fully fusing a head spirit bone would have to wait until she breakthroughs to Spirit Saint or Spirit Douluo. Wu Ming, who had unexpectedly received the 100,000-year bone, was so excited she could barely contain herself. Shu Yan eventually administered an injection to help stabilize the assimilation. Afterwards, she trembled even more violently, nearly dehydrated. None of them pressed him about the god position. On major matters, they would offer opinions, but they trusted Shu Yan's judgment and didn't pry into things above their station. Wise women don't invite trouble. In the days that followed, Shu Yan kept going to Star Luo Plaza to watch the ongoing spectacle. Smile Hongqin of the Sun Moon Royal Soul Guiding Device Academy looked much worse for wear. Even his sister Dream Hongqin seemed subdued. Shu Yan observed for a while, then contented himself with chatting and playing with Han Ruoro and the others. Princess Shujuju frequently invited him to dine at the most luxurious restaurants and visit the finest entertainments in Star Luo City. He led a comfortable life. During this time, he also researched the Space Heart Divine artifact. In function, it resembled the vast sea cosmic shroud, a symbol of a divine legacy. But unlike the cosmic shroud, which was forged by the first sea god, the Space Heart was an origin divine artifact, born of endless space itself. The god of space had once used it to break human limits and attain divine rank. Now it had given Shu Yan its most prized treasures, a sign of how satisfied it was with its legacy holder. The silver liquid that had fused with Shu Yan's mental force alongside the Space Heart turned out to be another divine artifact, an upper-rank Grade 1 divine artifact, the highest tier below a super divine artifact. Forged from the god of space's origin spatial divine force after he became a god, it inherited space's mutable, mysterious qualities. With the master's will, it could become any weapon form or even transform into armor. Learning the full potential of these two divine artifacts, Shu Yan couldn't help but sigh. Truly, the god of space had been magnanimous. The result was that his combat power surged. He outmatched Hanroro and the others so thoroughly that they were practically bedridden the next day. That only increased Hanroro's determination to expand her little zoo. If Shu Yan kept training them like that, she feared she'd be broken one day. Shu Yan, for his part, was tireless, pushing the three sisters to their limits. Eventually, the three women hung up their no-fighting signs and banded together, barring Shu Yan from entering their room. Shu Yan felt helpless. Could he be blamed for being too strong? Resigned, he started back toward his own room. Since moving into the Star Emperor Grand Hotel, he hadn't even opened the door to it. Just as he was about to slip away to meditate, a slightly nervous voice came from behind him. "Shu Yan, do you want to go out for a drink with me?" He turned and met a pair of eyes that were even more charming and alluring in the dim light. Chapter 165, Very Smooth Ma Xiao Tao, Zoo Expansion, and a Confession. In the dim hush of the corridor, a man and a woman alone could easily create an intimate atmosphere. That was especially true tonight. Ma Xiao Tao looked different. Her usually pale face was flushed, the blush striking and oddly beautiful. She seemed noble and refined, alluring in a way that made people stare. "Did you drink?" Shu Yan's nose picked up the scent immediately. He smiled. "Just a little," Ma Xiao Tao murmured, her eyes hazy. Even though she tried to hide it, Shu Yan's gaze caught a slight, involuntary stiffening of her body the moment he asked. He saw everything with ease. His spirit eye missed nothing. Ma Xiao Tao was an attack-type evil fire phoenix spirit emperor, stronger than an ordinary spirit saint. He didn't believe a few hotel drinks could make her truly drunk. Maybe the saying, "it's not the drink, it's the heart," fit her tonight. Shu Yan teased, "Well, if you're already tipsy, you should go home and rest. Don't have a few more and pass out. Your figure, your looks, it's hard for a man like me to control himself, even though I'm a gentleman." The blush on Ma Xiao Tao's face deepened at his teasing. Faking drunkenness had been a spontaneous idea when she first saw Shu Yan alone. She hadn't expected it to feel so mortifying as it did now. No, she insisted, cheeks burning. "Just a little, and you said you were a gentleman, so I'm not worried." Shu Yan watched her with interest for a long beat before his expression shifted, and he smiled slightly. "That's possible, but you should change first. You smell of alcohol, and that's not ideal." Ma Xiao Tao glanced down. She'd choked on the drink moments earlier. Some of it had splashed down the front of her red dress. The chest of the gown was soaked. Through the fine veil, the wet fabric clung to her, the hint of a shape that could make many men's blood race. Combined with the look in her eyes, the sight was more than merely alluring. She reflexively covered herself. Do you like it?" she asked, embarrassed, then saw Shu Yan's gaze burn and, swallowing hard, let her hand fall away. "Why would I ask?" Shu Yan said, smiling. "You're sharp in spirit and flawless in form. I'm a simple man. I appreciate what's beautiful." He paused, then added, watching her closely, "And I can tell, you're very aroused." Those words struck Ma Xiao Tao like lightning. A heat rushed to her face. The pale skin burned red. She felt lightheaded, dizzy, as if steam were rising from her head. Shame, anger, excitement, and the odd thrill of being seen by someone she admired all churned together. Shu Yan opened his hotel room with his card. In the dim light he turned, inviting. "Want to come in and sit for a while?" Ma Xiao Tao's fingers dug into her skirt. knuckles whitening. Shu Yan's calm offer, however, had a pull to it. Despite everything telling her to turn and leave, her legs moved as if they had a will of their own. Inside the room, the already low lighting felt even softer. The city sounds outside were muted by the hotel's soundproofing, the neon bleeding only faint color onto the walls. Shu Yan sank into the sofa and studied Ma Xiaotao standing in the middle of the room, uncertainty in her posture. If you regret this, you can leave. If you sit down, though, leaving might not be in your hands. Think carefully. If you stay, change into these while I shower. He gestured, and a flash of silver revealed a set of clothes on a crystal table, another red dress, a pair of glossy black stockings, and a pair of high heels. Ma Xiaotao's face went scarlet. She wasn't naive, although most of her days were spent cultivating in the inner courtyard. She knew enough of worldly things to feel how inappropriate those clothes were. She'd never liked high heels. They always made her uneasy for reasons she couldn't explain. From the bathroom came the steady sound of running water. Ma Xiaotao's hands trembled. The doorway behind her felt like safety. The clothes on the table felt like 1,000 weights. She was torn. More than that, the evil fire inside her, already unsettled by recent battles, was acting up. Her body grew hot, her thoughts fogged. The fire burned away rationality and opened a doorway to temptation. The idea took hold that if she surrendered, she might not only gain peace from the evil fire's torment, but, Hua Yao had said, experience a sensation that surpassed breakthroughs in spirit power. The thought was intoxicating. The mist in her eyes thickened. Rational thought nearly collapsed. When the bathroom water slowed, Ma Xiaotao bit her lip, stripped off the soaked gown, and with trembling hands slipped into the clothes arranged for her. When Shu Yan emerged in a loose white robe, he paused, surprised. He hadn't expected her to stay. Pride normally kept her from such things. Yet there she was, having crossed his threshold. He smiled inwardly. Love was a powerful force, and decided he would savor this. He poured 2 glasses of top-shelf wine from the cabinet. The liquid shimmered under the room light and the bouquet filled the air. Royal wine, a gift from Shujuju, as promised in its reputation. You have a good figure and a beautiful face, Shu Yan said, handing her a glass. Don't be so headstrong next time. Think before you act. Ma Xiaotao dared not look up. She gave a small, hoarse in reply. The sound was soft, unexpectedly charming. The next moment, momentum took them both. Ma Xiaotao gave a startled sound and melted into Shu Yan's arms. Her chin lifted as lips found hers. Her pupils narrowed, then fluttered shut. She tried to resist, but Shu Yan's kiss breached even her steeliest defenses. Sensations she'd never known flooded her. The evil fire, fueled by desire, flared hotter, consuming the last of her remaining reason. They didn't stop until dawn. Exhausted and tangled, they lay on the disordered bed in each other's arms. Shu Yan, do you love me? Ma Xiaotao asked, clutching him tight. She felt exhausted but safe. I do, he answered, stroking the smooth of her back. Rest now. When you wake, the world will look different. He soothed her anxieties with gentle words. Though they had no history together, Shu Yan knew how to comfort. He believed affection could grow from contact, and Ma Xiaotao's late-night whispers had given him a new perspective on her prideful, fiery nature. She might be an excellent partner, he thought. You can't ignore me anymore, Ma Xiaotao murmured. I'll try to be gentler. What about Han Ruruo? Shu Yan brushed a kiss across her forehead and held her close. Don't worry, sleep now. When you wake, everything will be different. I'll take care of it. She sank into sleep. After a short while beside her, Shu Yan dressed and used his spatial power to shield the room from outside sound. He was heading for the door when it opened, and chaos spilled in. At the threshold stood Wu Ming, having lost her balance and lunged through. Ling Luochen followed, dragged by Han Ruruo, so she didn't fall into Shu Yan's arms like Wu Ming almost had. Wu Ming shoved past Shu Yan and took in the sight of Ma Xiaotao asleep in the morning light. Her pupils tightened, and then she grabbed Shu Yan's collar, furious. Shu Yan, what did you do last night? She demanded. Ma Xiaotao, he replied simply. Wu Ming froze at the blunt answer, 2 giant question marks practically hovering over her head. Han Ruruo and Ling Luochen, joining them, frowned. Han Ruruo sighed and rubbed her forehead. I told you, Shu Yan's fresh meat. If we don't bite into him, there are plenty of wolves who will. Wu Ming's anger shifted into stunned acceptance. So she got a position? Han Ruoro added. Her voice softened. She wasn't truly angry anymore, just relieved that the immediate problem had been solved. They couldn't defeat Shu Yan's charm, so it was better to bring Ma Xiaotao into their circle. Ling Luochen watched Shu Yan with a trace of resentment. Ma Xiaotao had been a rival at Shrek Academy. Now she was someone they might have to fight alongside. If Ma Xiaotao could still stand as a competitor without wielding the evil fire, Ling Luochen thought, then she deserved respect. Otherwise, Ma Xiaotao's advantage was an easy, unearned one. Shu Yan read the 3 pairs of glare-filled eyes and felt a flicker of guilt. It passed quickly. He cleared his throat. You haven't had breakfast, right? Come on, let's eat. After that, I'll apply for leniency. Is that okay? Ling Luochen and Wu Ming glanced at Han Ruoro. She considered, then nodded. This is wise. But if you go acting without letting us know next time, I'll have Ling Luochen and Minger bite you to death. Han Ruoro punctuated the remark by motioning toward Ling Luochen and Wu Ming as if showing off their small fangs. Ling Luochen and Wu Ming felt something odd, but couldn't quite put their finger on it. Still, for now, the situation was contained. Ma Xiaotao was on their side, and Shu Yan would be brought to account after breakfast. Chapter 166. Yesterday, I took the 3rd part of the driving test and filed a leave request, but it got flagged for review, which was pretty baffling. Today was no different. I wrote something a little risque, and it was flagged the moment I posted it. Abba. Chapter 167. Semifinals. Defeating Star Luo National Academy. After a string of overwhelming victories, the Douluo competition finally reached its semifinals. Day 1 was team battles. As in the original lineup, the 4 teams that advanced were Shrek Academy, Diao Academy, Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy, and Star Luo National Academy. Shrek was the undisputed strongest. Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy was no pushover. Diao had Spirit Emperor level heavyweights, and Star Luo National Academy was the most balanced of the 4. 7 Spirit King cultivators, no one outstanding, but no obvious weak links either. The captains would draw to determine matchups on stage. It was a public, fair method observed by everyone present. Before Shu Yan stepped onto the stage, he had already drawn countless gazes from the audience in the stands, from the competing teams, and from the nobles in attendance. He showed no stage fright at all. His steps were steady, his expression calm. Ironically, this was his first time actually going on stage during the whole competition. He'd spent the rest of the time sightseeing with Han Ruoro, visiting famous spots near Star Luo City, and even taking a trip to Firefly Beach in the south. The sand there was white, and the seafood excellent. When he reached the center of the arena, the other 3 captains were already present, including Shu Juju, who had changed into a bright yellow, form-fitting outfit. Ma Rulong of Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy and Zhang Peng, captain of Diao Academy, watched him intently. Their eyes burned with undisguised battle intent. Shu Juju gave Shu Yan a playful smile. He nodded back. Heavenly Fiend Douluo Huang Jingshu, referee for the semifinals and finals, saw the 4 captains and sent 4 small golden balls into the air with a flick of spirit power. Shu Juju and Shu Yan watched as Ma Rulong and Jiang Peng instantly released spirit power to catch them midair. Shu Yan casually raised his hand. 2 of the golden balls were pulled down as if by an invisible suction and stopped in front of him. Shu Juju, surprised for a moment, merely chuckled and picked one of the 2 balls without protest. Ma Rulong and Jiang Peng, who had been in midair, blinked, then recovered and retrieved the remaining 2. When the selections were announced, the matchups were revealed. Shrek Academy versus Star Luo National Academy, Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy versus Diao Academy. Seizing a brief opportunity, Shu Juju winked at Shu Yan from the corner of her eye, a look packed with provocation. Shu Yan only smiled slightly, ignoring it. Back in the stands, Han Ruoro linked her arm with Shu Yan and teased, "So you're really going to go on stage alone and play with this little princess? Is there anything wrong with that?" Shu Yan asked with a smile. Han Ruoro glanced toward Shu Juju in the stands. Their eyes met briefly. They exchanged smiles and then looked away. Shu Yan wasn't concerned. "She's a princess. It's not that simple to be appointed as a 5th member," Han Ruoro said. "But she knows how much she can gain from being near you. She's complicated, part admiration, part calculation. That's normal. If she came only out of pure affection, that would be the real surprise. Hanro's smile showed relief. Their boy had grown. He didn't romanticize love. He saw its mixed motives. The curtain for the first semifinal fully opened and the teams entered. When Star Luo National Academy appeared, the home crowd erupted in deafening cheers. Shu Yan waved at Ma Shatao and the others, then walked out alone onto the stage. The roar that had filled the Star Luo Plaza fell silent the instant he stepped into view. Hundreds of thousands held their breath, as if an invisible weight pressed down on everyone. Shujuju's eyes flickered at the sight of Shu Yan standing alone. She remembered his boast about fighting them by himself the night he'd been invited on that date. She hadn't believed him then, but now his solitary appearance confirmed he meant it. He would face the whole Star Luo team by himself. Heavenly Fiend Douluo Huangjingshu blinked when he saw only Shu Yan on stage, about to ask for clarification, when Shu Yan spoke calmly. "Only I will participate in this match, Your Excellency. You may begin the match." Huang Jinshu met Shu Yan's gaze and felt a tremor run through him. He took a deep breath and declared, "The match begins." Then, in an instant, he transformed into golden light and vanished from the arena center. Shu Yan surveyed the spirit rings rising on the opposite side and looked at Shu Juju in the center of her team. He chuckled. "Don't hold back. Fight with everything you've got. For your highness, I won't start by sending you off immediately." His words provoked the Star Luo team. Shu Juju released her spirit, a golden light swirled around her, and a magnificent crown descended onto her head, made of what looked like countless stars. 18 pointed stars jutted upward from the crown, and a unique star power flooded the area. She activated her third spirit ability, the Star Radiance Art, and a golden mist enveloped part of her team. Their auras surged, nearly doubling in strength. "Brothers, go," called Huang Heiyun, the dark demonic tiger spirit king, who had been captain before Sujuju joined the team. The dark demonic tiger was a top-tier beast spirit, comparable to the white tiger spirit. Under the Star Radiance Art's enhancement, his battle intent could rival Dai Yuheng's. Huang Heiyun unleashed his fifth spirit ability, Demonic Tiger Overlord Body, layered with his third, Demonic Tiger Shakes Heaven, and followed with a fusion of wind and fire elemental control. Netherworld Mad Lion Dugushanshan and Lightning Falcon. Chen Xiaoji lurked in the dark, poised to strike the finishing blow. Both were ready to release their abilities at the perfect moment. What happened next stunned everyone. Shu Yan raised a hand, and with his body as the center, the space within dozens of meters suddenly stiffened. Huang Heiyun, midair, froze as if time had locked him in place. He couldn't move, no matter how he poured in spirit power. Terror spread across his face. Then Shu Yan flicked his wrist, and Huang Heiyun was launched like a cannonball, slamming into the spirit tool shield maintained by 108 soul-guiding devices. He screamed and crashed to the ground, barely conscious. As dust settled, he managed to open his eyes and look toward the stage, then fainted. Shu Yan's smile didn't fade. He took another step and the space warped again. The combined wind and fire attack vanished into the torn fabric of space. Though he restrained himself, the impact still sent several Star Luo members flying. They spat blood when they landed, and each had 3 or 4 broken bones. In less than 3 seconds, most of Star Luo National Academy hadn't even reacted before they were incapacitated. Only Shu Yan and Shu Juju remained standing on the stage. Shu Juju's eyes widened. She was still in the stance of casting an ability, but she looked around in horror. Where had her teammates gone? How had she been left alone on the stage in the blink of an eye? Shu Yan tapped Shu Juju lightly on the forehead and said, "Remember our bet. You lost this time, but don't be too sad. Train for next time." Then he turned and walked back toward Shrek Academy. Shu Juju stood frozen, staring after him, hand touching her forehead where the tap had landed, wounded pride and confusion written across her face. Heavenly Fiend Douluo Huang Jinshu, stunned into immobility, recovered only when Shu Yan left the stage. His voice trembled as he announced, The match is over! Shrek Academy wins!" The crowd erupted. Cheers and shouts flooded the Star Luo Plaza, reverberating for a long time. From the Shrek viewing platform, Ma Xiaotao, impulsive as always, dashed forward and flung herself into Shu Yan's arms. Shu Yan, I still can't believe how strong you are, she exclaimed. Shu Yan ruffled her back and teased, everyone's watching. Don't worry about being laughed at. Ma Xiaotao blushed and turned, meeting the amused or surprised faces of the crowd. Even a fighter like her could be mortified in matters of the heart. We'll make it public sooner or later. Are you planning to date me secretly forever? She fretted, then clapped a hand over his mouth. Please, don't say more. I'll lose face. Shu Yan smiled and fell silent. The mood on the platform shifted from laughter to deep respect. Shu Yan's instant defeat of Star Luo National Academy was decisive. His prestige rose to another level. From this day on, the name Shu Yan would be spoken of almost mythically. Across the plaza, the Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy members looked grim. Xiao Hongqian clenched his fists, incredulous, as if a belief had been shattered. His aura sank. Beside him, a girl with long silver hair gathered to one side in a ponytail watched Shu Yan intently. Her large, water-blue eyes flickered with the glow of a reconnaissance spirit tool. Her pupils reflected Shu Yan's face. The longer she stared, the more complicated her expression became. The strange chill Shu Yan had felt earlier lingered as the crowd continued to roar. The semifinals had only just begun, and its first match had already rewritten expectations. 2 days later, the semifinals concluded. Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy defeated Diao Academy and secured their place in the final against Shrek Academy. This was the culmination of the Soul Master tournament, and yet another meeting between these two schools in the championship match. In past years, Shrek Academy had always come out on top. This year looked no different. After the semifinals, Shujuju went to see Shu Yan. Unlike before, when she had used a sound transmission spirit tool to contact him, this time she came in person to the Star Emperor Great Hotel. Unfortunately, Shu Yan was locked away in his room, cultivating a breakthrough. By the time he finally emerged, Shujuju had already disguised herself and gone out shopping with her entourage. Shu Yan had thought to follow, but when he heard the word shopping, he abandoned the idea. He couldn't imagine being trailed by 5 women all asking at once, "Does this dress look good?" With his current patience and strength, he decided meditation was a far better use of his time. Around 11 that night, the 5 women returned. Shu Yan watched Shujuju laughing and holding Han Roro's arm and knew immediately the princess got along well with them. Shujuju was perceptive and skilled at socializing. It wasn't surprising. She even winked at Shu Yan. He smiled, asked whether they had enjoyed themselves, and the playful teasing began. Soon Shujuju slipped away, and the 4 other women turned their attention to Shu Yan. They blindfolded him with a black silk ribbon and brought out a game Han Ruoruo had invented to reward him for the previous night's entertainment. The 4 women lay in a row on the bed, buried under the quilt with only their feet exposed. Han Ruoruo dared Shu Yan to identify whose feet belonged to whom by touch. A correct guess earned a reward, a wrong one, a punishment. Shu Yan was delighted. Why hadn't they played this before? He relished the opportunity. After the game, he rewarded Han Ruoruo handsomely. She, a titled Douluo, felt weak in the knees the next day and skipped breakfast and lunch from being too satisfied. The finals arrived on schedule. Early that morning, the Shrek team gathered in the hall. Shu Yan sat in the main seat, glanced at everyone, and asked lightly, "Do I need to take part in today's match?" Everyone looked at one another. Ma Xiaotao patted her chest confidently. "You're not needed. Why use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? With me, Luo Chen, and Dai Yueheng holding the line, Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy won't turn the tide." They had all watched Sun Moon's semifinal and admitted the other side had many geniuses. But compared to Shrek Academy, the gap was clear. Shu Yan smiled, but then said, "Elder Xuan told me last night, I have to participate. It's a new requirement from the Star Luo Empire's officials. Everyone must be present for team battles. And frankly, after this team battle, the remaining events won't matter much, because after this, the true champion will already have emerged." He added with a grin, "Still, I don't want to dampen your spirits. I'll hang back and hold the rear. How things unfold will depend on you, in case the Sun Moon side suddenly pulls a Saint-grade spirit device out of nowhere." They all laughed. The Sun Moon side's strongest spirit device user was Ma Rulong at 6th grade. Even if the enemy tried to force an 8th grade tool, they would suffer terrible backlash. A ninth-grade device was out of the question for a handful of 6th and 5th rank users. On the competition stage, both teams presented their strongest lineups. Even before the titled Douluo Reimagined cried, "Match start!" a fierce aura had already rolled across the arena, causing many in the crowd to sweat. At his call, Ma Xiaotao could no longer hold back. 7 spirit rings rose beneath her feet, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 3 black. A spirit saint's power condensed into a tangible form. Pure phoenix flames rose, brilliant and terrifying. The pure fire phoenix spirit rivaled a top-tier dragon in might. It was even slightly above Ling Luoqin's ultimate ice. Although the phoenix's purification had reduced its absolute peak by a few points, Ma Xiaotao was still beyond a spirit Douluo in raw power. Ma Xiaotao charged. Ling Luoqin gripped her ice staff and moved at once as well, 7-colored light spilling as she joined the fight. Gongyang Mo did his best to support everyone. With a spirit saint on the field, the energy needed from his team skyrocketed. Sustaining 1 spirit saint could consume as much as supporting 2 or 3 spirit emperors. Sun Moon's team faltered for a heartbeat when they saw the 7 rings under Ma Xiaotao, but Captain Ma Rulong barked, "Don't hide your strength. Go all out." She's not an ordinary spirit saint. At his shout, soul-guiding device turrets rose from every direction, unleashing a barrage like rain. The stage was obscured by flashes and projectiles. Shu Yan lifted an invisible barrier and blocked the incoming fire with ease. He had promised Ma Xiaotao she could go all out in this battle. She wanted to shine. Shu Yan, indulgent, allowed it. This team battle was among the most intense since the tournament's reform. Hundreds of thousands watched in silent, clenched anticipation. Sun Moon had prepared well. The 7 fought in a tight formation, their spirit tools unleashing overwhelming power. With the help of an 8th-grade spirit tool, Heart of Vigilance, their combat capacity surged, almost spanning a rank. But that boost had a time limit. Once it expired, defeat would be inevitable. Perhaps aware of that, they shifted tactics. 2 white light rings simultaneously shattered, and a repelling force struck Ma Xiaotao's phoenix flight, knocking her back. A one-time 5th-grade spirit tool, a repelling bracelet, had been used. Seizing the opening, Meng Hongqian, who had been coordinating her teammates, struck. A circle of ice-blue light flashed around her, and her yellow 2nd spirit ring flared. Ling Luoqin, sensing danger, raised her ice staff and condensed an instant ice wall, then quickly transmitted a warning to Dai Yueheng and the others who were still entangled. "This is bad. She's connected to the vermilion ice toad. Its poison is deadly. It's raining today, so the poison gets a boost." "It's fine. Let me handle it," Ma Xiaotao snorted. Phoenix flames could counter poison. She refused to believe it would be a problem. Her flames surged, burning away the rain and the ice toad's poison. As the white mist cleared, everyone's expressions turned grave. The earlier defensive maneuver had not been a true change of plan, but a smokescreen for a desperate final gambit. Since Shu Yan had revealed part of his strength, Sun Moon realized they could not beat Shrek in a fair, prolonged fight. With Shu Yan, Ma Xiaotao, Ling Luoqin, and Dai Yueheng in place, no 2 or 3 versus 3 split would save them. If they were to go down, they would do so fighting fiercely, and perhaps if they lost, they could still return home as heroes. What then unfolded chilled the audience. A dense array of cannon barrels, as numerous as grains of sand, filled the stage. Super spirit device cannons charging and firing in a relentless rain of energy. Even Ma Xiaotao was driven back. Behind that storm of barrels, 5 individuals, apart from the Mortal World siblings, simultaneously pressed something like a badge to their chests. A blood-red light enveloped them. Their states plummeted, their life force visibly dimmed. No, they're sacrificing their potential and life energy. Ma Xiaotao's pupils shrank. That spirit tool. Xiao Hongqian and Meng Hongqian shared a look. The siblings clasped hands, and almost at once, 5 spirit rings flared around them. Their auras peaked. A dazzling pillar of light condensed and formed a toad-shaped spirit manifestation. The golden hue of the 3-legged golden toad and the ice blue of the vermilion ice toad blended into a metallic crimson gold. A 5-meter-tall giant toad stood on the stage, its abyssal black eyes seeming to devour souls. Its gaping mouth hid a crimson gold vortex spinning violently, ready to erupt. The siblings had used their spirit-body integration skill, mortal world attachment, to fuse and unleash a massive attack. But the crimson-red magic array rising beneath the toad was not just the siblings' doing. Marulong and his team had activated a specially made, one-time 9th grade spirit tool. A desperate, extremely costly device they called the Kiss of Death. It drew on the user's potential and life force to produce a top-tier 8th grade area effect fused with an evil spirit bone. The fusion barely crossed into 9th grade power, but could only be used once. The crowd realized the terrible truth. This was a do-or-die final move, a single-use 9th grade device, likely manufactured by Mingde Hall. Marulong's face had gone pale, white hair at his temples, but he still managed to smile. "Shrek," he said through breath ragged with willpower, "I hope you like the final gift we've left you. This spirit tool is called the Kiss of Death." With unsteady strength, the users fell from the stage as their bodies were pushed to the limit. As the core magic array ignited, blood-red clouds condensed above the stage. The soul-guiding device shield built from 108 devices began cracking. Heavenly Fiend Douluo's face went ashen. He wanted to intervene, but the rules restrained him, and he had no confidence he could change anything. Blood-red lightning slammed down from the cloud. Ma Xiaotao, who had activated her spirit true body, spat blood at the first strike. More crimson bolts followed, and then the Mortal World siblings' Mortal World attachment finished its release. Shu Yan, at the rear, barely moved his mouth. He recognized the device, a specially constructed 9th grade spirit tool, single-use and brutal. The device's power was essentially an 8th grade area tool fused with an evil spirit bone, potent enough to be a 9th grade attack but too unstable for repeated use. It could destroy them or leave them horribly crippled, even if they survived. He could not let it stand. In an instant, Shu Yan closed the distance. Spatial power surged. 7 blood-red spirit rings rose from him as he drew a spatial field and pulled everyone back, dragging them out of the stage's killing range. He fixed his gaze on the blood-red lightning cloud and held a silver light in his hand. A pillar of silver shot into the sky and struck the cloud. Space-time eternity shattered it like a mirror. The blood-red cloud split into countless silver shards that drifted down like snow, each fragment reflecting Shu Yan's face in a strangely beautiful, dreamlike way. At nearly the same time, he intercepted Mortal World attachment with a space-time shatter. The siblings' spirit-body fusion was torn apart and the backlash sent them spitting blood. They fell from mid-air and crashed onto the stage, completely fainted. Having handled the immediate threat, Shu Yan ripped space open again. A figure tumbled out from the rupture, Hallmaster Jing Hongchen himself, his 9th grade body-protecting spirit tool destroyed. Shu Yan gave a casual nod. "Hallmaster Jing Hongchen, I've heard much about you." Jing Hongchen stared at him, eyes full of disquiet and surprise. Shu Yan's strike had forced Jing to rely on a 9th grade protective device. The spatial power had been terrifying enough to drive a Hallmaster to such lengths. From the distant city wall, Star Luo Emperor Su Jiawei watched Shu Yan intently. He lifted a hand slightly, and a middle-aged man stepped forward. Shu Jiawei murmured a few words. The man then turned and left. Jing Hongchen, recovering his composure, put away the ruined device and said slowly, "Heh, young man, you truly are unparalleled." Shu Yan glanced at the unconscious Mortal World siblings and asked with a trace of mockery, "Is it appropriate for the Hallmaster to supply his students with spirit tools that consume their potential and life force?" Jing Hongchen smiled faintly. "If it defeats your Shrek Academy, everything is worth it. Even if we fail, Mingde Hall will not look down on its heroes." Shu Yan only chuckled softly and turned to the presiding referee. Heavenly Fiend Douluo, stunned and wary, looked at him. "Referee," Shu Yan said, voice calm, "announce the result." Heavenly Fiend Douluo snapped back to his duty, looked long at Shu Yan, and then called out in a clear, shaking voice, "Match over! Shrek Academy wins!" Chapter 169, Post-Match Impact, Return to the Sea God Pavilion, Special Rewards and the Fusion of 3 Divine Beasts. As the final matches wound down, the results of the Douluo competition were settled. Shrek Academy, as expected, took first place. Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy once again came in second. It wasn't a surprise. This pattern had repeated many times over the centuries, and those who followed the competition weren't shocked. The next day, under the eyes of countless onlookers, the members of Shrek Academy received the competition's top prize, 10,000-year spirit bones. Shu Yan and the others had little interest in those particular bones, so they let Dai Yueheng and the rest allocate them where they saw fit. The reserve team, having only entered a few matches, spent most of their time watching and learning from the stands. The prizes held little relevance for them. After a bumpy trip home, everyone quickly returned to Shrek Academy. Surrounded by familiar furnishings and rooms, they all breathed easier. After more than a month of nonstop activity, a chance to rest was a welcome relief. The Sea God Pavilion also showed generosity. Each main team member received an opportunity for guided meditation and cultivation in the pavilion's underground chambers. Dai Yueheng and the others were thrilled. Shu Yan and his peers were more indifferent. The benefit to them was marginal, but better than nothing. Still, Shu Yan's performance in the competition had exploded his reputation across the Douluo Continent. The sight of 7 blood-red spirit rings stunned everyone. No one expected such a configuration on a teenager, nor could anyone fathom how Shu Yan had acquired so many 100,000-year spirit rings. Coupled with his ability to sense and casually shatter a level 9 body-protecting spirit tool belonging to a Mingde Hall master, his strength defied ordinary standards. Even many titled Douluo silently admitted, even at full power, they could not achieve what he had. The commotion on the Three Kingdoms side of the original continent was intense. The Sun Moon Empire's reaction, though, was more sober. The rise of such a prodigy on the Douluo continent was a serious threat. Within the empire, tensions were high and a war felt increasingly inevitable. A new star with divinity potential had emerged from the Douluo side, an event that could profoundly influence the coming conflict. Men like Jing Hongqian, who knew the empire's ambitions and the history of the Douluo continent well, grew especially grave. They remembered that true divinities had arisen in human history, most notably the first-generation Shrek's 7 devils 10,000 years ago. Now, in a way that seemed even more rapid and unprecedented, Shu Yan's ascent suggested he might be a force that human institutions could not hold. With a true divinity on the Douluo side, how could the Sun Moon Empire hope to triumph? Current spirit-linking technology was still far from capable of killing a divinity. Even killing a limit Douluo required vast resources and preparation. Eliminating a divinity, Jing Hongqian felt, was a dream. Amid those heavy thoughts, Jing Hongqian's mind oddly drifted back to a conversation he had once had with Shu Yan outside Star Luo City. By the golden tree in the Sea God Pavilion, after Dai Yueheng and the others had gone to their rooms to begin meditation, Shu Yan met with the pavilion elders, led by Mu En and the 4 vice deans. Mu En retained his gentle manner, but his gaze betrayed his inward agitation whenever it fell on Shu Yan. He chuckled softly and said, "Welcome back, genius. In this Douluo competition, you've given us old men one more great surprise." The other elders and deans smiled as well. At this point, no one dared, or indeed had the standing, to question Shu Yan. He smiled back. "Mu En, esteemed elders and deans, is there a special reason you called me here?" Mu En grinned and teased. "The academy even gave you Ma Xiao Tao. Isn't that enough? Do you want this old bone of mine, the position of pavilion master too?" Shu Yan inwardly thought he wouldn't want the job even if Mu En offered it, but he just smiled and said, "Mu En jokes. There are many more suitable for that position than I. I won't interfere." Mu En waved, understanding Shu Yan's meaning. Now that Shrek Academy had Ma Xiao Tao and Shu Yan had no desire to take the pavilion's post, there was no need to press the issue. The other elders' expressions shifted, but with Mu En's word set, they had nothing more to add. After a moment, Xuanzi, seated next to Mu En, cleared his throat. "Ayan, why don't you tell the elders about the soul spirit you created?" Xuanzi had already briefed the elders about the rumor, but he lacked details. Everyone was eager to hear the full explanation. Shu Yan did not mind repeating it. After Shu Yan's detailed account, the elders finally grasped how the soul spirit worked and why it mattered. Mu En considered for a long moment and asked, "If this soul spirit method is used on ordinary spirit masters, roughly what is the success rate?" Shu Yan thought a moment. "If I personally perform the fusion ritual, the success rate is nearly 100%. If other spirit masters with spiritual attributes attempt it, the rate would be lower. Another key point is that this requires coordination with the Stardew Great Forest. Very few wild spirit beasts would willingly become human dependents without such an agreement. The elders nodded. Yan Xiaojie then took the floor. Yan, I heard from Xuanzi that you already have many powerful soul spirits. Is that true? Yes. How did you convince those powerful beings to become your soul spirits? Yan Xiaojie asked, curious. It's simple. We share a common goal. Shu Yan answered plainly. They're my partners, investors, if you will. Our aim is to combine the strength of the two races to produce a true divinity. When I become a divinity, they will ascend as the highest-ranking soul spirits, the so-called divinities. The elders exchanged glances. They had heard rumors that Shu Yan was tied to a divinity legacy, and the reality sank in. Mu'en looked around at the others and moved the discussion on. Let's not speak of everything now. Yan, I see unparalleled potential in this soul spirit method you've created. If you can, keep researching it. Perhaps one day it will help humans and spirit beasts move toward true peace, or at least ease conflicts for a while. There was a subtle plea in Mu'en's soft voice. His vision had always been longer term than most of Sea God Pavilion's elders. Among Shrek's leadership, he was one of the clearest thinkers. Don't worry, that's my intention too, Shu Yan replied. Mu'en nodded, then produced 2 jade boxes with a small gesture of spirit power, setting them before Shu Yan. For your extraordinary performance in the Douluo competition and for cultivating an ultimate fire spirit master for the academy, these 2 spirit bones are special rewards from the pavilion. Shu Yan smiled and, without ceremony, placed them into his storage spirit tool. That night, Shu Yan returned home. Han Ruoro had left a meal for him. After confirming Wu Ming hadn't cooked it, he happily ate. The food was excellent, comparable to a master chef's. A soft knock sounded after dinner. When Wu Ming opened the door, she found Ma Xiaotao slipping in, looking around at the furnishings with wide-eyed curiosity. It was her first time there. These 3 houses were all paid for by me and renovated by the Academy's team, Han Ruoro explained with a smile. They may look ordinary, but they're fitted with almost every advanced civilian spirit tool you can find on the Douluo Continent. You'll see after a few days. Ma Xiaotao's eyes lit up. Nice to be rich, she said with envy. Though a favored disciple of the dean and given allowances by Yan Xiaoe, she had spent most of her life in the inner courtyard, and her savings couldn't buy this lifestyle. On the 2nd floor, she fell silent at the sight of a bed that could fit 5 or 6 people. Wu Ming, giving the tour, simply flopped down on it and rolled around twice, then said, "Get used to this. There'll be plenty more nights sleeping close together. Without that evil fire, the physical cheat, I'm afraid you'd be lost to Shu Yan." Wu Ming laughed and added, "I mean, Ma Xiaotao, I didn't expect not only a divine beast bloodline, but divine beast traits on your body." Ma Xiaotao blushed furiously and lunged at Wu Ming, pinning her down. "Sister Wu Ming, didn't we agree you wouldn't mention that again?" "What, when did we agree?" Wu Ming countered with shameless grin. When arguing, she had a thick skin that sometimes even Han Ruoro couldn't match. After a short, playful scuffle, Wu Ming led Ma Xiaotao to a wardrobe filled with dazzling clothes and a trove of trinkets. Ma Xiaotao's pupils shrank. She felt at once lost, shy, nervous, and faintly excited. She chastised herself aloud, trying to regain composure. She had always been self-controlled, so why this restlessness? Then a thought struck her, the residual influence of the evil fire. Of course, it must be the evil fire weakening her will. Yes, blame the evil fire. She swore silently to find Shu Yan that night and purge it. That night, Shu Yan did not refuse Ma Xiaotao's invitation to deal with the evil fire. After Shu Yan's purification, Ma Xiaotao felt drained but relieved. The change was significant. She seemed to embody traits of the 3 great divine beasts almost at once, which pleasantly surprised Shu Yan. The following day, Shu Yan opened the 2 jade boxes Sea God Pavilion had given him. The pavilion had been unusually generous. Both spirit bones were over 70,000 years old. One was a fire-attributed right leg bone, the other an ice-attributed arm bone. What intrigued Shu Yan more was that both bones came from top-tier sub-dragon spirit beasts. Their auras and spirit signatures seemed able to fuse with one another, suggesting those two sub-dragons had an unusual relationship in life. Regardless, the bones were top grade. Shu Yan gave them to Wu Ming and Ling Luochen, respectively. He did not give one to Ma Xiaotao, not because she was undeserving, but because she had already infused both her left and right leg bones, and both had come from the same spirit beast. According to Ma Xiaotao, that spirit beast had also provided her sixth spirit ring, an astounding stroke of luck. In Shu Yan's knowledge of history, only Rakshasa god Bibidong had better fortune, and even then, Bibidong's bones had been two 200,000-year spirit bones. The distribution was settled, and the academy settled into a quieter rhythm, though the ripples from the competition and from Shu Yan's rising star were only just beginning to reach the wider world. Chapter 170, Returning Home and Family Developments, Anomalies and the Golden Tree Spirit. After the Douluo competition, things settled into a relatively leisurely stretch. With no major events on the horizon for nearly 5 years, Yan Xiaojie granted Shu Yan and the others a special holiday. Shu Yan planned to use the time to take the girls back to Lingdo City. After all, Shui Lin had sent several messages asking to see her granddaughters-in-law. Shu Yan wouldn't keep the elder waiting. It was a small duty he owed to someone who had doted on him since childhood. They traveled north and soon crossed into the dueling empire. One person was missing from the trip, Shu Juju, still far away in the Star Luo Empire. Her identity was too special and her affairs too complicated for her to accompany them. It would also be unsafe for her to casually enter another country's territory. So she stayed behind. Back in Lingdo City, Shu Yan introduced the 3 girls, excluding Han Roro, to Shui Lin one by one. The elder's smile never faded. Time had not taken much from Shui Lin's elegance. Perhaps Shu Yan's immortal herb had helped her break through into the spirit Douluo realm, for she looked decades younger, 40 or 50 at most from a distance, hardly like someone who was a grandmother. Shui Lin clasped each girl's hand and murmured all the warm, grandmotherly things she said before to Han Roro. Shu Yan remembered them well. Shu Hong had taken leave from the military camp to come as well. After consuming the immortal herb, Shu Yan had arranged, his cultivation had reached rank 96, and he was expected to break through to rank 97 within the next 3 years. The barrier that had plagued him for nearly 20 years had been shattered. The old man felt reborn, his spirit and energy renewed, his gray hair darkened, and he looked decades younger. A senior from a collateral branch of the Shu family, of Shu Hong's generation, had also become a titled Douluo with Shu Yan's help, and was part of the return to hunt for a 9th spirit ring. Shu Junyo had gone into seclusion to cultivate. With a solid foundation, a 100,000-year spirit ring, and the immortal herbs, he was attempting a breakthrough to Super Douluo. Yu Bingyan, despite a busy schedule, made time to bond with Han Ruoro and the others. Shu Yan found himself increasingly ignored after a few awkward questions, which left him bemused. It felt as if he'd returned home only to be a stranger in his own family. While Shu Yan lounged, Shu Hong found him, and the two spent a long time talking in the study. The next morning, the old man sent Shu Yan away. Shu Yan didn't mind. He had told Shui Lin everything she needed to know, and with the Shu family's present strength, few forces on the original Douluo Continent could rival them. Everything was moving in the right direction. Looking at the beauty around him, Shu Yan's ambition to climb ever higher swelled. Perhaps only by achieving eternity could he preserve all he cherished. The happy time in Lingdo City passed faster than they felt. Before they knew it, almost a month had gone by. Shu Yan prepared to leave, determined to cultivate seriously and break through to Spirit Douluo as soon as possible. Ever since the God of Space's warning, a faint unease lingered in his mind, a premonition that the sea god would soon act. Shu Yan had altered the original course of history. Consequences were bound to come. Huo Yuhao was another concern. When Shu Yan left Star Luo City, he had used a small ruse to attract the body sect's attention to Huo Yuhao. The body sect had since taken him for advanced training. Han Ruoro had felt guilty for a time, but given Huo Yuhao's top-tier body spirit, the body sect was likely the best place for him to realize his potential. Wang Dong, who had been aimlessly wandering Shrek City, snapped out of her stupor when a letter reached her. Her feelings for Huo Yuhao were genuine, born from time spent together rather than any forced implant. Shu Yan sensed a real bond between them, perhaps ordained by fate. In any case, Huo Yuhao was no longer the original son of luck. Shu Yan had become the new son of luck, and that position now belonged to him alone. The Buddha might not have understood why such a deviation occurred on the Douluo Continent, but Shu Yan guessed the Buddha would not stop interfering in the continent's fortune, nor give up trying to place his parents at its core. That set them on an inevitable collision course. Shu Yan knew the two sides were not yet equal in strength, but he was confident he could surpass them when he became a god. The god of space was one of the oldest, strongest first-tier main gods in the god realm and could rise to god-king rank. Shu Yan believed that by unraveling the mysteries of the universe's space, he could elevate the god of space's god position into a god-king rank, and the world origin within Shu Yan's mental sea was itself a kind of god position, with a minimum rank reaching god-king. That, he and Alex had concluded after long study. If Shu Yan advanced to divine rank and controlled that position, he might wield the power of a creator god. God-king would not be his end. He could say that with certainty. Back in Shrek City, Hai Shunshun arrived fuming and found Shu Yan with Gu Yun at her side. With so much happening recently, Shu Yan had almost forgotten about her, but he wouldn't tell her that. He told her he'd been too busy to take care of her. Hai Shunshun hadn't come for anything critical. She lived well at Shrek, with Gu Yun acting like a mother, and had more freedom than Shu Yan ever did. She'd come to pass on a message. The spirit masters of Sea God Island had been acting unusually. Shu Yan frowned slightly, but patted her head. I know. You go find Ruo and the others. You're a grandmaster of mental force, and Ruo and the others need an experienced teacher to guide their mental force cultivation. Hai Shunshun brightened instantly. Yay! I love teaching. I'll make sure they behave. But I have one condition. What condition? I want to see the legendary Sea God Pavilion, and I want to see the golden tree, the only one in the world. Shu Yan hesitated only a moment, then agreed. All right, that's not a problem, but why do you want to go to the Sea God Pavilion? For sightseeing, of course, she declared. I've explored almost all of Shrek City. Only Sea God Island and the Sea God Pavilion remain. And I want to see the golden tree, she added with a self-righteous air. Shu Yan was mildly surprised at how much she knew. I read about these things in the Sea God Island records. Rumor says the parents of the second sea god returned to the Douluo Continent from the god realm after becoming gods and even visited Sea God Island. Hai Shunshun leaned in conspiratorially. Okay, I get it. You may go. Shu Yan smiled, giving nothing away. With Shu Yan's connections, Hai Shunshun's visit to the Sea God Pavilion went smoothly. The elders of Sea God Island, guardians of divine legacies from 10,000 years ago, were astonished the place still existed. When they learned Hai Shunshun was the granddaughter of the previous sea god high priest, they treated her with a special courtesy. Their ancestors' ties mattered. This deference had nothing to do with Shu Yan. One day, Shu Yan went to the Sea God Pavilion to meet Mu En and was led into the secret chambers below. Mu En watched him for a while and then stopped. He knew Shu Yan didn't want to be watched. So long as Shu Yan posed no threat to the golden tree or the pavilion, Mu En preferred not to impose restrictions. Ordinary geniuses might need guidance, but exceptional monsters often became the leaders who shaped eras. Mu En understood that and respected Shu Yan's privacy. In an underground chamber suffused with golden light, a luminous door opened as Shu Yan stepped in. The space was within the core of the golden tree itself. As he appeared, a golden figure slowly formed ahead of him, and Shu Yan felt a guiding mental force lead him here. You've come, new son of luck, an aged but gentle voice said. The golden tree spirit? Shu Yan asked. Precisely. Shu Yan had deliberately called the spirit to warn it. I came to tell you that the sea god is growing impatient. The golden spirit's voice remained gentle, though Shu Yan heard urgency threaded through it. I know. Since I took on the Son of Luck's mantle, it was inevitable I would cross paths with Sea God. That's good then, Shu Yan replied lightly. The golden spirit chuckled, but its voice sounded weaker than before. Shu Yan noticed and frowned. How far has the Blue-Silver Emperor's attempt to parasitize and possess you progressed? He asked. Surprised that Shu Yan knew, the Golden Spirit answered, "With the God Realm's backing, the Blue-Silver Emperor can only barely contend with me. Ultimately, her life rank is far lower than mine. Under the suppression of the law of the world, it has become difficult for her even to maintain a stalemate. But the real problem lies with the God Realm." Shu Yan understood. Without divinity support from the God Realm, how could the Blue-Silver Emperor rival the Golden Tree's origin against the law of the world? The spirit continued, grave. "The situation is critical. The Blue-Silver Emperor seeks the world's life core, and the clear-sky Douluo from 10,000 years ago have been secretly eroding the world's spirit. This process has lasted millennia, but in recent years it has accelerated. I have a premonition, something major is about to happen in the God Realm," the Golden Tree Spirit said with melancholy. "Or rather, some have lost their patience and intend to change the Douluo Continent's destiny completely, to make Tang its new ruling name." Shu Yan couldn't help but smile. "Choosing me would change the continent's surname from Tang to Shu. You in the world spirit should know I'm no philanthropist. I don't do things for all beings. I act in my own self-interest." The Golden Tree Spirit shook its head. "There is still a difference. Compared to that other person, at least you do not pose as a messianic figure. We can see you will not harm the world because you retain a bottom line. For that reason, and because of your extraordinary genius and your potential to achieve a double god position divinity, you are more suitable for the Douluo Continent than he is." "It's not that we ignore the necessary sacrifices," the spirit went on. "For the development and growth of the world, some killing is unavoidable. Everything in nature follows the law of the jungle. As the head of the plant system, I understand that better than anyone. After careful consideration, the world spirit is willing to choose you." Shu Yan stood in the golden light and listened. Around them, the golden tree's slow, vast will pulsed like a heartbeat. The choice had been made, or was being made, and the currents of destiny were shifting. Chapter 171, Origin of Gold, the Fall of the Snow Empress, the Evil Demon Forest, and She Di. After listening to the Golden Tree Spirit, Shu Yan fell silent for a moment. Then a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "If you think that, then I truly am the last hope of this plane." "Just as you say," the Golden Tree Spirit replied, a note of relief in its voice. After a longer conversation, the Golden Tree Spirit finally sent Shu Yan out of its origin space and presented him with a precious gift, the origin of gold, the life and light origin of the Golden Tree. For Shu Yan personally, it wasn't that useful, but for many of the soul spirits around him, it was priceless. With the origin of gold, those soul spirits effectively gained an innate life and light breath, making them equivalent to ordinary living beings. At the same time, the connection between their souls and Shu Yan was not weakened. It was engraved into their life, origin. Their fates were bound. If Shu Yan prospered, they would prosper. If he declined, they would decline. Back at home, Shu Yan summoned the Snow Empress and the others. Indeed, even the top homebody Demon Emperor attended. Looking at the room full of beautiful women, Shu Yan couldn't help but sigh. This was life at its finest. It was a pity that major enemies still needed to be dealt with. Otherwise, he might have stayed to enjoy it. After so many years of cultivation, didn't he deserve a little pleasure? Seeing everyone's puzzled looks, Shu Yan cleared his throat. "I need to say something important. Listen carefully. This matters greatly. Any oversight now could waste everything you've worked for." Hearing Shu Yan's seriousness, everyone focused instantly, eyes burning with attention. They had already felt something shifting. In the following period, Shu Yan cultivated quietly in the inner courtyard. Many soul spirits absorbed the origin of gold and fed power back to Shu Yan. In a short time, his spirit power shot up 3 levels straight, with no trace of instability after each breakthrough, proof of how pure and powerful the Golden Tree's origin truly was. That energy made Shiji green with envy. If he could absorb all of it, he might become a god immediately. Shu Yan didn't know Shiji's thoughts. Otherwise, he'd accuse himself of having used the whip too hard and injuring Shiji's mind, leaving him to daydream constantly. No, he thought, Shiji must have been corrupted by Tianmeng. After all, Shu Yan recognized the title Tianmeng Dream Emperor. Since Shu Yan obtained the god position legacy, Tianming had fully surrendered to idleness. Every day he either slept or used mental force to build things in Shu Yan's mind-sea. Eventually, he actually built a palace of dreams, only for Snow Empress and the others to requisition it the moment it was finished. Still, Tianming was pleased. He could claim the title of infrastructure maniac. Shu Yan's spirit power reached level 78. In a little while, he would hit 80, the quasi-spirit Douluo realm. Then he would head to the Sun-Moon Empire, first to seize Shidi, second to bring back Yegai, and third to visit the Holy Spirit Church and Mingde Hall. The itinerary was set, now to see what surprises the journey might bring. Time flew. One day, vast spirit fluctuations spread from Shu Yan, and an astonishing aura lingered above Sea God Island. At Sea God Pavilion, the red-haired elder who had once interacted with Shu Yan stared in amazement. After a moment, he slapped Zhuang Lao on the shoulder and said, "Moved. This kid Shu Yan truly defies heaven. A single breakthrough can change the heavens and earth. The aura he gives off is no less than mine." Zhuang Lao cast a casual glance at the red-haired elder and said, "You might as well take my surname. Zhuang Lao suits you to perfection." The red-haired elder froze, then laughed as he realized the joke. "Old Zhuang, don't be ridiculous. I'm a super Douluo. Don't I need face?" "You want face from a fart. If you wanted face, you wouldn't be hunting for partners under 30 at your age." "Hey! I'm old but vigorous, unlike you, who doesn't dare look even if you wanted to." "Tsk, you think everyone's like you." Their bickering faded as the anomaly in the sky dissipated as quietly as it had appeared. After breaking into Spirit Douluo, Shu Yan felt a terrifying power surge through his meridians. The force generated by a single swing could shred space. "One step, one layer of heaven, that's probably my position," he murmured with a soft chuckle. "One could say that. Right now you can face two peak, pre-Spirit Douluo versions of yourself at the same time," Snow Empress said, appearing behind him. Shu Yan turned and nodded. She was right. Among the soul spirits, few matched Snow Empress in perception. After all, they were extreme North Emperors, not ordinary vicious beasts. "What's your next move? Straight to the Sun-Moon Empire?" she asked. "More or less. The plan for the Sun-Moon Empire is set. Time is of the essence," Shu Yan replied. "I support you," Snow Empress said softly. They fell quiet for a while. Then Shu Yan asked, "Want to take a walk?" Snow Empress hesitated, then nodded. "Let's. Sea God Island's scenery never tires me, unlike the endless snow and wind of the extreme north, which freezes the hearts of all living things over time." Her voice rang clear amid the cicadas, like a bell on the eve. "That's the past. Now you have companions, and you won't be lonely even if you become a god. If you don't like the god realm, we can return to the Douluo Continent, our route. There's still plenty to explore." Shu Yan smiled. Snow Empress looked at him, dazed for a moment, then smiled back. "You're right. I have trustworthy partners now. The future looks hopeful." They walked side by side along a shaded path beside the moonlit sea god lake. The lake was a perfect mirror, reflecting silver moon and stars. Without warning, Shu Yan reached out and took Snow Empress's hand. She tensed briefly, then relaxed, intertwining her fingers with his. They walked on in silence, their shadows long and close, like the growing closeness between them. 2 days later, Shu Yan set off for the Sun-Moon Empire. He did not bring Han Roro and the others, but he wasn't alone. Shiji and a few others accompanied him. Flying high above the Mingdo mountain range, Shu Yan had memorized the Sun-Moon Empire's provincial divisions from Star Luo Empire spies. His first destination was the Evil Demon Forest in the north-central continent, a notorious spirit beast forest home to Shadi, ranked second on the continent's vicious beast list, and many other large spirit beast groups, including the Evil Eye clan. If any place on the continent could rival the Stardew Great Forest in the density of 100,000-year spirit beasts, it would be the Evil Demon Forest. Though unlike Stardew's biodiversity, the Evil Demon Forest's fauna tended to be homogeneous. As the name implied, over 70% of the forest's beasts possessed dark or evil attributes. Light and holy creatures were rarities. Heading north, Shu Yan crossed the Jingyang Range, and soon a dim forest appeared under the sun. The forest was mostly conifers, whose branches and needles had turned black-gray, forming a thick, dark mass. Even before entering, oppressive feeling pressed on him. Shu Yan pressed on toward the core. The deeper he went, the darker it became, and the stronger the beasts. The first spirit beast he met in the core was a 90,000-year-old evil eye, not pure mental attribute, but dual attribute fire and mental, evidenced by flame patterns and shimmering air. Evil eyes were diverse. Within the clan, the fewer innate abilities one had, the stronger one's actual power. A strange rule, but Shu Yan had seen stranger things. He wasn't interested in this 90,000-year beast. Only 100,000-year beasts mattered to him. Those could yield spirit rings, bones, and essences his team could use. If this little one could produce a spirit bone, Wu Ming or Ma Xiaotao would be perfect candidates to use it. Shu Yan wouldn't let it go. Further in, Shu Yan noticed a 100,000-year evil eye, entirely silver white, pure mental attribute. This was a royal bloodline of Xiedi's clan, one of the most powerful in the evil eye group. Shu Yan's glance roused the beast from slumber. It woke startled and angry, scanned its surroundings, found nothing, and settled back down, perplexed. In its consciousness, this place lay only tens of miles from Xiedi's resting place. Even those from the Holy Spirit Church with Xiedi's permission would not enter without greeting, let alone an ordinary spirit master. Besides, 100,000-year pure mental evil eye was the strongest existence below the peak. It trusted its senses implicitly. Shu Yan glanced one more time, then pressed deeper until he reached the forest's true center, a strangely silent zone. The howling wind made no sound, yet its touch was tangible. It was a mental force field, completely integrated with the surrounding heaven and earth, controlling the elements of the space. Any hint of disturbance would be detected. Shu Yan hadn't hidden deliberately. What he needed was to awaken Xiedi. As soon as he stepped into that field, the sleeping Xiedi detected him. Xiedi's cultivation was infinitesimally close to the 8th heavenly tribulation. His mental force bordered on divine rank. That was why he had walked away unscathed after challenging Beast God Ditian. His ultimate technique, the light of time and space, was a terrifying spirit ability even the Beast God had to take seriously. Shu Yan, king of space with involvement in mental and time types, knew well how dreadful Xiedi's ultimate power was. Inside Shu Yan's mental sea, Tianmeng and Xiedi became alert at once. The pressure Xiedi imposed was immense and terrifying, an unprecedented weight. Xiedi said bluntly that Xiedi's pressure was more terrifying than the Demon Emperor of the Sea. The Demon Emperor's strength lay in raw spirit power and the body. Xiedi's deadliest feature was his mental force spirit ability, a kind of power no spirit master liked to confront. Naturally, Xiedi suppressed mental force masters like them, unquestionably so. Chapter 172, Evil Emperor, Spirit Douluo Shu Yan and the Holy Spirit Church Headquarters, Mother and Son of Death. Above the sky, a gigantic silver sun seemed to rise. The surrounding clouds parted on their own, revealing a terrifying fluctuation of mental force that spread outward. In an instant, the air within a 1,000-mile radius warped violently, and the high altitude was filled with a vast sea of silver mental energy. Spirit beasts whimpered, prostrated themselves, and trembled, overwhelmed by the presence of the evil emperor. A blood-red pillar of light shot up and forced Shu Yan back dozens of meters. His mental force was high, but not on the same level as the evil emperor. Still, with Xiedi and Tianmeng at his side, he wasn't overly worried about the mental level threat. That confidence was the key reason he dared confront the evil emperor so brazenly. Who disturbed my slumber? Who dares? A gigantic blood-red eye suddenly manifested above Shu Yan, floating 1,000 meters in the air and exuding a dreadfully oppressive aura. Around that eye, dozens of enormous tentacles slithered through the sky. Each sweep shredded a slice of space, revealing a deep darkness laced with the stench of death. "Evil Emperor, I have long admired your name," Shu Yan said. 7 blood-red spirit rings rose beneath his feet. The pair of silver-black twin dragons roared toward the heavens, their dragon might pressing down on the world. Each scale radiated an ancient, profound aura. "Black dragon? No, Yazi, one of the dragon god's 9 sons, born for slaughter. 7 spirit rings of 100,000 years each, and I sense the aura of a vicious beast, too." The giant eye fixed on Shu Yan. Even without actively probing, Shu Yan could feel the evil emperor's overwhelming mental force and emotional waves. Its mind was so powerful that even slight emotional ripples could be amplified thousands of times over. Ordinary spirit masters or spirit beasts with weak wills would be broken by such influence. "Human, why have you come?" the evil emperor demanded. Its voice was enormous, tinged with a careful suspicion. It detected several powerful auras behind Shu Yan. The weakest among them belonged to a super Douluo, and the strongest could even faintly contend with the evil emperor. There was more than one. "To offer you ascension, to help you become a divinity. Does that satisfy you?" Shu Yan replied calmly. The evil emperor's expression shifted. This sudden human and those words moved it, tempted it. It had guessed Shu Yan's true nature, a chosen vessel of a powerful divinity's legacy in the human world, a rising star with the potential to break the world barrier and enter the god realm someday. "You want this venerable one to sacrifice himself to become your 8th spirit ring?" the evil emperor asked in a deep voice. "Sacrifice?" Shu Yan waved the idea away. "That method is crude and depletes your origin mental force. I have a better path." He touched the strange imprint on his glabella, a mark from the legacy of the yin space god position, and drew forth a halo of light, knowledge lakes and he had distilled about soul spirits. "Accept this memory, and I think you will agree." The evil emperor hesitated, but allowed the memory cluster to flow into itself. A flood of knowledge poured into its consciousness, everything about soul spirits, including the current situation of Snow Empress and others. The images, the ideas, were like a slideshow in its mind. Slowly, fervor grew in the evil emperor's gaze as it looked at Shu Yan. "You are not like other humans. If this is true, we will cooperate very well," it finally said. Shu Yan smiled and nodded. Convincing the evil emperor had not been difficult. Its intelligence was formidable, and it quickly understood Shu Yan's purpose and the advantages offered. Shu Yan's confidence also rested on a cold fact. If the evil emperor refused, he and his companions were certain they could kill it. Faced with the choice to be destroyed or to surrender and be rewarded, the evil emperor chose the latter. They formed a soul-spirit contract. An orange-gold spirit ring, threaded with blood red and silver, slowly settled into place. The oppressive mental force that had blanketed half the evil demon forest faded. Spirit beasts that had been suppressed struggled to their feet and crawled back to their lairs. The evil emperor bestowed on Shu Yan an 800,000-year mental attribute spirit bone and replicated 4 of its most powerful spirit abilities, producing a spirit ring that was near perfection. Once his spirit power stabilized, Shu Yan gained the exact location of the Holy Spirit Church's headquarters. The headquarters lay in the eastern outer reaches of the evil demon forest. The evil emperor and the Holy Spirit Church had once struck a bargain. The church could establish its base within the forest, but it must never harm members of the Evil Eye clan and must regularly offer massive blood sacrifices. Despite the truce, racial enmity meant the evil emperor had never let its guard down. If the Holy Spirit Church did not possess Limit Douluo, it would have been wiped out long ago. The real reason the church remained was because it had 2 Limit Douluo, both capable and active. Arriving at the rough coordinates the evil emperor provided, Shu Yan released his mental force. His penetrating mind quickly detected a magnificent underground palace complex. Though built in darkness, its architecture and decoration were flawless, no less grand than famous historical structures on the Douluo Continent. Inside that complex were no fewer than 3,000 evil soul masters and so-called holy servants. Most ranged from 3 to 7 spirit rings, with a few 8-ring spirit Douluo and higher. There were several titled Douluo. The strongest seemed to be Phoenix Ling, an evil Phoenix Douluo with 97th level spirit power. But even so, compared to the high-ranking Holy Spirit Church officials, Shu Yan already knew, the force here felt a bit thin. "Tsk, what an undertaking," Shi Ji said with a soft sigh. "They've hollowed out thousands of meters underground and set up numerous defensive arrays, more than one. The defense here is tight. Without knowing the layout, even a Limit Douluo would find it difficult to break in alone." Shi Ji knew the church well. From power alone, those 2 Limit Douluo of the Holy Spirit Church were superior to Muen, Shrek Academy's dragon god Douluo. Even if Muen used the golden ancient tree, he'd likely be no match for 2 active Limit Douluo of that caliber. "What's the plan? Charge straight in?" she asked. Shu Yan glanced at her. Her thought matched his. Evil soul masters deserve death. No need to hold back. Kill them all. But don't be too quick. See if we can lure out the 3 leaders of the Holy Spirit Church. If we kill them, things will get very interesting. Shiji's eyes lit up. It had been a long time since she'd had such free license to slaughter. Following Shu Yan was fun, but she missed the days of casually ending lives on the continent. Sun Moon Empire, Mingdu. In a hidden chamber of the Imperial Palace, the Holy Spirit Church's Grand Elder, the death god Douluo Reimagined, sat perfectly still. Her beauty was exquisite but ice-cold. Her face was deathly pale, giving an unease that bordered on fear. Suddenly, Reimagind's eyes snapped open, a blood-red flash crossing them. A terrifying aura rose from her in an instant. The woman who had seemed drained of life moments before now resembled a true god of death. Before she could speak, Zhongli Wu, handsome, sullen, and anxious, appeared in the chamber. Mother, Phoenix Ling just sent word. The Holy Church headquarters is under attack. The attackers are at least 4 Super Douluo. Phoenix Ling is struggling, even with the other defenders. Also, yesterday, there were terrifying mental force fluctuations from deep in the evil demon forest. It appears the elder evil emperor has awakened. Humph, Reimagind's brows tightened. Her expression shifted quickly, then she spoke calmly despite Zhongli Wu's worry. The contract with the evil emperor still stands. As long as Xiaoyao and I are alive, the evil emperor will not break it. She paused. But attackers at the headquarters, this is troubling. The Holy Church has been dormant for years. The location of our headquarters is a secret of secrets. Outsiders shouldn't even know where it is. 4 Super Douluo, huh? Where? Don't worry. I'll have Xiaoyao take a few venerables and investigate. With them on the move, the headquarters should be safe. Zhongli Wu hesitated. Phoenix Ling's message had carried an unprecedented fear. Phoenix Ling's spirit, the evil phoenix, was one of the top-tier evil spirits. At 97th level, with a 100,000-year spirit ring, she could match a 98th level Super Douluo. If it were merely 4 ordinary Super Douluo, Phoenix Ling leading the defense would have torn them apart. The fact she sent multiple messages suggested something dire. Seeing his expression, Reimagind's frown eased. Where? You know how many trump cards we have in the headquarters. And remember our contract with the evil emperor. If things get loud, the evil emperor will surely intervene. So go back and continue our plan. Mingdu needs us to oversee the bigger picture. The Holy Church has reached a point of no return. Zhongli Wu fell silent for a moment, then nodded. Mother, I know what matters. Reimagind's watched him depart, a cold, blood-red glint returning to her eyes. Back in the evil demon forest, Snow Empress's sword fell like a white blade of light, sword chi chilling enough to freeze space. It took the life of a titled Douluo of the evil soul masters in a single stroke. Nearby, dark purple phoenix wings beat, dyeing the night sky strange and purple. Phoenix Ling's spirit power burst out. 9 rings spun, 3 purple, 5 black, and 1 red. But she was in dire shape. Her body was slashed, blood soaking her clothes, her aura chaotic. Defeat seemed inevitable. CG wore a wicked, playful smile. She wasn't in a hurry to finish Phoenix Ling off, first to see if she could play a longer game and catch a bigger fish, and second to savor the cruelty. Opportunities like this had grown rare since she'd started following Shu Yan. Her hunger for wanton slaughter had been reignited. Chapter 173. The evil phoenix surrounded and killed the Dragon Emperor. Shiji's smile froze, then twisted as she looked east. The smile on her face sharpened into something sinister. A limit Douluo in the lead, and a bunch of youngsters, she murmured. They're so slow to arrive, they look as if they don't even want this headquarters. Her voice dropped, and a cold, dark green light flared in her eyes. She turned her head toward Phoenix Ling, who stood some distance away, stunned and wide-eyed with a hint of joy. Shiji's lips curved into an eerie grin. It's time to swat this little mosquito that likes to buzz around. I wonder, will the contrast of your joy and your terror make your soul taste better after you die? She licked her lips, and her aura leapt several levels in a few breaths. Phoenix Ling, disheveled and still recovering from shock, hadn't even finished reacting when Shiji's jade-white arm flashed through the air and pierced straight through her chest. Just a little dizziness. Breathe deeply and you'll be fine, Shiji murmured close to her ear, voice soft as silk. One favor, don't meet me in your next life. It'll make your death quick. Then she withdrew her hand and crushed the bleeding heart. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, yet not a single drop stained Shiji or her sleeve. A pale, soul-like light shot up from Phoenix Ling's corpse. The woman caught it and swallowed it in one motion. Phoenix Ling's body crumbled to dust. The spirit bone that remained was collected in her hand. Long Xiaoyao arrived on the battlefield at that moment and witnessed the scene. Phoenix Ling, the Holy Spirit Church's vice leader, lay dead, and beside her a tall, immaculate woman had calmly drawn the soul light into herself. Long Xiaoyao's brows knitted. Devouring souls, he thought. An evil soul master, a limit Douluo-level evil soul master. It made no sense. Other than the Holy Spirit Church, the Douluo Continent had shown no signs that such a powerful evil soul master existed. After all, once an evil soul master reached the titled Douluo realm, each further advance was like climbing a new heaven, both in force and in the difficulty of cultivation. Even the church's elders, backed by massive blood sacrifices, struggled to break a single level. Yet here stood a woman who looked no older than 30 or 40, casually devouring a soul. Questions and disbelief crowded Long Xiaoyao's head. Before he could sort them out, a towering purple-gold pillar of light ripped through the sky behind his line and bore down in an instant. A titled Douluo at the rear didn't even have time to react before the demon extreme divine light reduced him to dust. If Long Xiaoyao hadn't dragged several people away at the last second, that single strike might have wiped out nearly half his group. He looked up and saw another stunning woman suspended in mid-air, a dark purple dress flowing around her. The aura that radiated off her was unmistakable, a limit Douluo. Shu Yan's subtle messages flashed through Long Xiaoyao's mind. His allies no longer held back. Snow Empress and the others began slaughtering everyone inside the Holy Spirit Church headquarters. Long Xiaoyao's face drained of color. He had heard reports that 4 Super Douluo had ambushed the church, but what he faced now revealed the truth. These were not merely 4 Super Douluo. They were 3 Limit Douluo, backed by several extremely powerful Super Douluo. The force arrayed against them left him shaken to the bone. Cold sweat tracked down his temple. It finally dawned on him that this had been a long-laid trap, set specifically to catch a single, enormous prize, one which they themselves had become. Senior Dragon Emperor, we've been waiting a long time. Shu Yan's voice rang out as he casually crushed an evil soul master who tried to flee. Snow Empress and the others closed ranks, surrounding Long Xiaoyao. "Who are you?" someone demanded. Long Xiaoyao's face was pale, but he tried to keep control. "Shu Yan," he replied, eyes flicking between them. "Senior Dragon Emperor, surely you've heard the name." Shu Yan's smile became something colder. "You are Shu Yan?" Long Xiaoyao's surprise deepened. He had heard the name, but had never seen Shu Yan in person, and never imagined someone so young could carry such a crushing aura. "Indeed," Shu Yan said. "Old Mu spoke of the Dragon Emperor Douluo's prestige. Seeing you now, his words were not exaggerated." But Long Xiaoyao felt something else, an inexplicable chill crawling up his spine. Even with limit Douluo-level perception, he could not read Shu Yan. Instead of clarity, Shu Yan's presence pressed on his spirit, making his own thoughts restless and unpleasantly compulsory to submit. "What do you want?" Long Xiaoyao asked, trying to steady his voice. Shu Yan's smile faded. "People always ask questions while holding answers. What we want is simple: destroy the Holy Spirit Church." He shook his head. "It's a pity we couldn't lure Ye Shishui and Zhongli Wu out this time. But don't worry, they'll join you soon enough." He signaled, and the group tightened. Spirit power surged like a tide, pressing down until the sky seemed to buckle and the very fabric of space began to fracture. Dozens of miles of battlefield felt like it was being compressed into stone. Long Xiaoyao cursed inwardly. Surrounded on all sides and pressed down by overwhelming force, he could only unleash his spirit and spirit rings to meet the onslaught. Far from the battlefield, in a luxurious manor in Mingdu, Ming Yining watched with amused curiosity. A young girl stood bound in blue-black chains at the center of the main hall. Her clothes were disheveled, and the fresh scars on her skin had only partially healed, but her eyes burned with stubborn pride. Resentful, defiant, looking at Ming Yining as if she would slice her apart given the chance. Ming Yining didn't flinch. She leaned forward, a flower of amusement flickering across her face, and hooked one manicured finger under the girl's chin. The girl's face was beautiful and carried a faint sacred quality. Ming Yining's eyes glittered as she appraised her. "Sacred Angel Spirit King," she purred. "Not bad. With your power, you actually managed to wound a level 7 soul guiding device. Still, you're very weak." The girl, Ye Gai, spat back coldly. "Flay me, kill me, do as you please. Once I fall into the hands of evil soul masters, it's my misfortune." Ming Yining chuckled. She tapped the side of her mouth, amused. "I won't kill you. I'll give you a better future. Sacred angels cannot grow in the Sun Moon Empire. The place has become a breeding ground for evil soul masters. You should thank me. Without me, you might have died somewhere in the dark." "And by the way," Ming Yining added with a graceful toss of her head, "I'm not an evil soul master. I'm an imperial count, the Ming family's pearl, and the youngest female titled Douluo in the empire. Do not call me an evil soul master unless I claim the name myself." Ye Gi's eyes flashed. "Once an evil soul master, always an evil soul master. I won't waste words on you. If you have the courage, kill me. If I cry out once, I'll be unworthy of my sacred angel legacy." The challenge only made Ming Yining smile colder. She had been briefed by Shu Yan. Her anger against the evil soul masters ran deep, but she would not squander it. "What a wicked generation," she said softly. "I'll teach you some of the methods evil soul masters use. You simply don't know the immensity of the world." Ye Guai remained unbowed. The guards had already sealed her spirit power and spirit. 2 maids bathed her and applied top-grade healing medicines. In moments, the cuts and bruises disappeared, as though treated by a spirit saint. Fully dressed, she was led to a dim room, and her hands were unbound, only to be handed a loose robe by Ming Yining. Ming Yining tossed an old, slightly yellow book at her. "For the next few days, you will learn everything in this book. In a few days, an important person will come for you and take you to the Douluo Continent." Ye Gi hesitated, then opened the book. Her hand shook, and the pages fluttered, revealing an illustration that made heat rise to her face and fury to her eyes. She slammed the book shut and glared at Ming Yining. "How dare you show me such things? Kill me! I would rather die than learn that." Ming Yining merely smiled. "You wouldn't want the people of Mingdu to suffer calamity because of you, would you?" Ye Gui's expression turned from anger to confusion. Ming Yining continued in a softer tone, almost reflective. "I would not have treated you like this if you hadn't made me angry. I'm not truly an evil soul master, at least, not by the strictest definition. Tell me, what makes one an evil soul master? Is it simply that a spirit has an evil attribute?" She let the question hang, then added, "Also, that important person who will come for you is not much older than you. His mother is a titled Douluo with a sacred angel spirit. She wishes to take you as her disciple. That is your safest and most trusted destination. If you want to fight evil soul masters, go to the Douluo Continent. The Sun Moon Empire is no place for your growth." Ye Gai fell silent. The words pulled at something inside her, a mixture of anger, distrust, and an undeniable curiosity. At last, she looked up and measured Ming Yining carefully before asking, "Is that true?" "It is," Ming Yining replied. "If I wanted you dead, I would have killed you already. The fact that you live proves something." Ye Gai sniffed. "You don't act like a virtuous person. It's hard to trust you." Ming Yining shrugged lazily. "Apology accepted." Ye Gai's hope flared. "Then may I not learn this book?" "No," Ming Yining said flatly. "You were chosen by the master. You must learn the necessary theoretical knowledge. Besides, the master is indisputably the genius of his generation, a peerless prodigy likely to reach the divinity realm. If you want to preserve the sacred angel bloodline, this master is the best choice. And if you really admire strength so much," she added, with a lazy smile, "then go serve him yourself." Ye Gai gritted her teeth so hard her jaw ached, furious at Ming Yining and the nameless master Ming had spoken of. "I admire strength," she admitted through clenched teeth. "I'm tempted, but whatever I do requires the master's approval. If he is willing, I would serve him willingly." Ming Yining's smile didn't change. Ye Gui stared at her across the dim room, at the young woman who was beautiful, composed, and utterly unpredictable, and felt a strange certainty that Ming Yining's mind harbored a serious sickness of its own. Chapter 174, The Light of Time and Space and the Fall of the Dragon Emperor. Mingdu and Ye Gai. While Ye Gai, under Ming Yining's relentless tutelage, was being forced to learn those indecent techniques, the battle in the evil demon forest was already drawing to a close. The Holy Spirit Church enforcers Long Xiaoyao had brought were formidable, but in the hands of Snow Empress and the others, they only managed to die with a little more dignity. Long Xiaoyao himself, trapped between Sheiji, the evil emperor spirit, and Shu Yan, fared far worse. Sheiji specialized in mental strength and the evil emperor in pure spirit power. Having become Shu Yan's soul spirits, the two were in perfect synchrony. Their cooperation was seamless. Long Xiaoyao was strong, but he could not withstand their combined onslaught, and Shu Yan's bizarre spatial forces left him ineffective, like striking cotton. Before long, a dark green beam from Sheiji struck Long Xiaoyao, and his eyes went blank. A huge six-pointed star rose slowly behind the evil emperor spirit, and from that flickering array, a massive purple-gold pillar erupted, aimed straight at Long Xiaoyao. Beneath Shu Yan's feet, an 800,000-year vicious beast spirit ring slowly rose. The depths of Shu Yan's eyes darkened to a profound blue. From the ring shot a narrow beam about 3 meters across, a dark blue lance that charged toward Long Xiaoyao alongside the evil emperor's own wrath. When that beam appeared, the surrounding time seemed to freeze. Long Xiaoyao, who had only just regained his senses, was immobilized in midair as the space around them compressed at a terrifying rate. The dark blue light moved with a deceptive slowness, and as it passed, the whole sky and ground within several thousand meters took on its color. This was the light of time and space, the ultimate move of the evil-eye tyrant dominator, the evil emperor. It was the power Shu Yan had learned from that spirit, an understanding of time and space rooted in spirit origin, capable of stripping away a being's spirit origin in an instant and driving spirit power into collapse. Shu Yan's mastery of spirit and spatial domains made the light in his hands even more terrifying than when the evil emperor had once used it. It was that technique that had once allowed the evil emperor to escape beast god Ditian. Ditian had needed 1,000 years to recover. The move's potency needed no further explanation. Shu Yan did not unleash the light on Long Xiaoyao out of malice so much as curiosity. There were few limit Douluo-level opponents left on the continent to test it on. After both spirit abilities struck, Long Xiaoyao opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The light of time and space reduced his aura to a feeble shadow. His imposing figure shrank as if shriveled, his proud posture collapsed into a hunch, and his silver hair went dull and lifeless. He became little more than a corpse with a faint trace of consciousness. In his last moments, he looked up at Shu Yan and the others, his eyes a mix of hatred, relief, and a stubborn unwillingness to accept his fate. Shu Yan watched quietly. Then, with a wave of his hand, the 6 spirit bones inside Long Xiaoyao's body flew out. The body itself remained intact. The remnants of the Holy Spirit Church would bury him, a last sliver of dignity for a limit Douluo who had roamed the continent for more than 2 centuries. At least his body would not be left exposed and devoured by spirit beasts. Shiji, leaning against Shu Yan, sounded a little surprised. "This was a limit Douluo. You killed him outright?" Shu Yan chuckled softly. He was useless alive. Death was the best end for him. He was a pitiful man, deceived his whole life, but he was not innocent. Come on, we have to clear out the treasures in the Holy Spirit Church headquarters. This is a major haul. Shiji brightened at the thought and led the way down. The Holy Spirit Church had stored vast quantities of blood food and resentful souls, delicacies for her. In her own way, it was an act of mercy. Freeing resentful souls from their torment, even through consumption, released them. After Shu Yan filled his storage spirit tools, he turned over the remaining treasures and relics with a thoughtful look. "This Holy Spirit Church is truly wealthy," he murmured. "Just this vault alone, the collection here is unparalleled. Evil soul masters do accumulate wealth quickly, truly worthy of their name." Snow Empress, staring at the treasure vault, suddenly had an idea. "Yan, your mental force C is already showing signs of evolving into a mental force world. In principle, it should be able to store items. Try to put some of these treasures into it." Shu Yan considered, then activated his mental force C. A soft silver halo appeared. Treasures glinted and trembled, then floated upward under its guidance and slowly vanished into the halo. Inside the mental force sea, Tianmeng, lounging there, got an oar falling on its head and jumped in surprise. It gaped, then frowned. Why is it raining ore in here? Before it could complain further, the heavy oars sorted themselves neatly into an empty corner. Once they finished, Shu Yan clicked his tongue in admiration. Taking the Holy Spirit Church had greatly enriched them. Dozens of spirit bones now sat in his mental sea, including several 100,000-year bones. Rare metals and soul-guiding devices stacked unimaginably high, especially the few level 9 fixed-load soul-guiding cannons, a tremendous prize. After they processed everything and Shiji devoured the resentful souls, Shu Yan felt a refreshing coolness in his spirit. He and Shiji were closely connected, each's progress reflected on the other. Their improvement together felt right. They did not linger. With their haul, they set out directly for Mingdu. The city was not far from the evil demon forest, and it did not take Shu Yan long to arrive at the Douluo Continent's largest metropolis. Mingdu was a different kind of capital, infused with advanced soul-guiding device technology from the Sun Moon Empire. Its modernization far outstripped other capitals of the original Douluo Three Kingdoms. Hovering over the myriad lights of Mingdu, Shu Yan felt a faint anticipation. Inside the city, he traced Ming Yining's aura and headed straight for the South City. In a luxurious manner, Ming Yining paced barefoot across smooth floors, her delicate feet like strips of top-grade jade that gleamed in the light. Behind her, Ye Gai, wearing a light gold short skirt, stood with an expression of humiliated indignation. The past few days had been hard on her. She did not like to dwell on what the woman before her had forced her to learn. It had been utterly shameful. "Are you just toying with me?" Ye Gai demanded. "When is the person you mentioned actually coming?" Ming Yining ignored the question. "I don't know the exact time, but I can tell you clearly, I made you learn this for your own good." "For my own good?" Ye Gai nearly laughed in anger. Threatening innocence to force her to learn those filthy things, how could that be for her own good? If any of it ever proved useful, she swore she would eat that book. Ming Yining's lips curved slightly. Ye Gai was a sacred angel spirit king with a beautiful face, but she was a bit immature. That could be fixed with training. Ming Yining was confident she could mold Ye Gui into the person she wanted. Before she could continue, Shu Yan's black-haired figure entered the room. Ming Yining was taken aback for a moment, then brightened. "Master, you're here," she said. Shu Yan nodded, slightly displeased at his subordinate's dramatic tactics. His mental force had already detected Ye Gui's presence before he arrived. Her sacred aura reminded him of his mother. He looked at Ye Gui. She sized him up in return. To her, Shu Yan at first seemed handsome, composed, and gentle. Then something in her stirred. An image of a giant dragon reared in her mind, majestic and proud, and she felt an involuntary urge to bow. "Nice to meet you. I'm Shu Yan from the Dueling Empire. I think you've heard my name," he said softly. Ye Gui's pupils narrowed. "You're Shu Yan, the so-called greatest genius on the Douluo Continent in 10,000 years? If we rule out a namesake, then yes, that's me," Shu Yan replied with a light smile. "So, you're the one who will take me to the original Douluo Continent?" Ye Gui asked. "Yes. My mother, like yours, has a sacred angel spirit. She hopes to restore the angel clan's former glory. As for you, though I don't know how you ended up in the Sun Moon Empire, your bloodline does come from the original Douluo Three Kingdoms," he said quietly. Ye Gui fell silent for a moment, then nodded. "If that's true, I'll go with you." "A smart and correct decision," Shu Yan said with a slight chuckle. Ye Gui glanced at Ming Yining and added, "But I want an explanation." Shu Yan tilted his head. "What explanation?" "Humph. Ask the woman under you. Ask her what she's been forcing me to learn these past few days." Ye Gui's face still carried some shame and anger. The lessons felt like maggots gnawing at her thoughts. Seeing Shu Yan made her imagine the most embarrassing scenarios. Ming Yining, feeling Shu Yan's gaze, pouted and replied defensively. "Master, what I had her learn was just common sense. Her comprehension is poor. That's the problem." "You say my comprehension is poor? The things you taught me were improper." Ye Gui snapped, on the verge of tears. "Ch! You need to understand. Heaven is yin and earth is yang. Yin complements yang. That's the Tao. It's not improper. Your mind is the filthy one," Ming Yining retorted righteously. Ye Gui fumed. She could not match Ming Yining for rhetoric and spun to look at Shu Yan, pleading without words for support. Ming Yining glanced at Shu Yan with eyes full of complaint. I did this for you. If you don't back me, I'll die of sorrow right now. Shu Yan had a good idea of what had happened and bore Ming Ying no ill will. After all, in their position, it would have been strange not to test Ye Gai at all. He chuckled and said, Yining did well. In any case, these things will come in handy sooner or later. Ming Yining's face immediately lit up with a satisfied smile. Ye Gai's expression froze in horror. She stepped back, crossed her arms over her chest, and looked at Shu Yan warily. Shu Yan laughed softly and waved a hand. Don't be nervous. I'm not interested in coercion, and even if I were, given your current strength, you'd probably surrender anyway. Ye Gui glared at him, a flush of shame and annoyance coloring her face. If he weren't so ridiculously handsome, she thought, she might be tempted to plunge a sword into him on the spot. Chapter 175, Mingdu and Mingde Hall, Persuasion and the Widening of the Road. The night in Mingdu was magnificent. The city's countless lights spilled up into the sky, forming halos that flowed like a river, like a curtain falling from the depths of the starry heavens. It was an intoxicating sight. Shu Yan, escorted by Ming Yining, made a rough tour of the city and finally halted before the Sun Moon Imperial Palace. Master, the palace is heavily guarded. With my cultivation, if I tried to sneak in, I'd definitely be detected. If you have other plans, be careful, Ming Yining warned. I know. Don't worry. If I truly wanted to leave, there's no one in this world who could keep me here. Shu Yan sounded calm. He poured out his mental force like a vast ocean and easily pierced the palace's layers of defenses. The entire situation within the Sun Moon Imperial Palace unfurled before him. How many hidden powerhouses lay in the dark? What terrifying defenses lurked in unknown corners? Let's go see other places for now. I have a difficult task for you later. If you complete it, I'll think about giving you a reward. Shu Yan turned to Ming Yining with a faint smile. What task? Just tell me, master, she replied quickly. Ming Yining's eyes flashed. It wasn't that she desperately wanted some trinket. She was backed by the Ming family and the Hongqian family, two of the Sun Moon Empire's top clans. She lacked cultivation resources. Even rare spirit bones would be obtainable with the right favors. What she sought was Shu Yan's attention. As the saying went, an influential household draws influential followers. Even a servant wanted to be the favorite of the master. If she could win Shu Yan's trust and preserve that closeness, her own future prospects would be immeasurably brighter. Perhaps when Shu Yan became a divinity, she could rise with him. Even failing that, becoming the first limit Douluo in the Sun Moon Empire seemed within reach. She had ambitions, but she kept them to herself. Shu Yan did not complain, and that suited her. It's simple. You go shopping with Xie and the others. I have important matters to attend to and can't get away, Shu Yan said seriously. Ming Yining froze. Shopping? That's the difficult task? Her little face went blank. Shu Yan sighed lightly and patted her shoulder. The same problem persisted. As his harem grew, the prospect of accompanying all of them shopping became, in his words, a form of torture. The next morning, Shu Yan left Ming Yining's manor at dawn. When he reappeared, he hovered above a dense cluster of towering buildings. The Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy, not a small scale at all, he murmured, then transformed into a streak of light and slipped inside. The advanced soul-guiding device technology gave the academy a futuristic sheen, a contrast to the natural, pollution-free aesthetics of Shrek Academy. Shu Yan preferred this style. He landed in the testing area and made his way toward Mingde Hall at the center, moving as if he belonged there. Security and protection levels meant nothing to him. He reached a unique office in under a quarter of an hour. After a polite knock, a voice called from inside. Shu Yan smiled and entered. Inside, Jing Hongqian, square-faced, gruff, was studying a peculiar spirit tool without looking up. He only asked, after hearing the footsteps stop, "What is it? Didn't I say if Shrek hasn't attacked, don't bother me? Are you ignoring me?" Shu Yan chuckled. "Hallmaster Hongqian, long time no see. Are you really that unwelcoming?" At Shu Yan's voice, Jing Hongqian's movements halted. He rubbed his eyes, then looked up in disbelief. When he confirmed it was Shu Yan, his expression changed drastically. "How did you get in?" Shu Yan shrugged. Your Mingde Hall's security is only average. I just walked in. Mingde Hall's security is average, Jing Hongchen exploded. He sprang from his chair, outraged. This place was Mingde Hall, the research sanctuary that gathered the Sun Moon Empire's most brilliant minds and powerhouses, the cradle of spirit tool development, the pinnacle of the Empire's soul-guiding device technology. Its defenses should rival Shrek Academy's Sea God Pavilion. Ordinary Super Douluo wouldn't dare sneak in. Did they think those 9-level fixed-charge soul-guiding shells were mere decorations? Yet Shu Yan had appeared before him without effort. That alone gave Jing Hongchen a headache. "All right, Hallmaster Hongchen," Shu Yan said lightly. "I'm just visiting the Sun Moon Empire. When I arrived in Mingdu, I thought I'd call on an old friend. I won't touch Mingde Hall. Otherwise, with a few of those 9-level fixed-charge shells in my hand, I could at least stage a grand fireworks display." Jing Hongchen's mouth twitched. He let out a small sigh and slumped back into his custom chair. "Fine. Even on my own turf, I can't do anything about you." He eyed Shu Yan. "You didn't come all the way to the Sun Moon Empire just to visit Mingdu, did you?" "Sharp as ever, Hallmaster," Shu Yan replied. "I've broken through to Spirit Douluo. I came to obtain my 8th spirit ring." Jing Hongchen's mouth twitched again. You're a monster. I've been in the Spirit Master world for decades, and I've never seen a prodigy like you. Compared to you, my 2 grandchildren are ordinary." He trailed off, then asked abruptly, "Are you planning to go to the evil forest to get your 8th spirit ring?" Shu Yan settled into a chair as if he were at home. "I already have it. I also wiped out the Holy Spirit Church's lair. The church's vice cult master, Evil Phoenix Douluo, and the chief enshriner, Dragon Emperor Douluo, are dead. Their headquarters lie in ruins." "What did you say?" Jing Hongchen slammed the table and nearly leapt out of his seat. Shu Yan raised a hand, urging him down. "No, Shu Yan, are you joking? Did Evil Phoenix Douluo and the Dragon Emperor truly perish at your hands?" "I don't make jokes like that." Shu Yan's tone was matter-of-fact. "My 8th spirit ring is the Evil Emperor, dominator of the Evil Forest. I've made a special contract with it. If you don't believe me, I could call the old Evil Emperor out to meet you." Jing Hongchen's expression twitched. He hesitated, then shook his head. "No need. Still, it's hard to imagine how a teenager accomplished all this. You make me feel like I've wasted my life." He sighed and seemed to lose his spark, the old man sinking into a salted fish lethargy. Shu Yan played with an ornament on the desk for a moment, then straightened. "Hallmaster Hongchen, your position in the Sun Moon Empire is exceptional. You must understand what kind of person the current crown prince is. War with the original Douluo Continent is unavoidable, but if a true divinity joins on their side, the Sun Moon Empire stands no chance. Even with every resource poured into spirit tool development, you won't reach a technological height before I become a divinity, let alone contend with me. The world needs the unification of resources and manpower, but more fundamentally, it needs unification itself. But rather than wait for some empire to achieve it, I intend to do it. With the times, imperial systems will lag and fall away. Integrating resources will accelerate human development beyond imagining. The wheels of history need someone to push them forward quickly, and I am the best candidate to be that pusher. Hallmaster Hongchen, you are a smart man. You should understand what I mean." Jing Hongchen lit a cigar with trembling fingers. The smoke curled as his hand shook. "You plan to form a new continental core with yourself at its center?" he asked after a long pause. "You can put it that way. I plan to build a new continental core centered on myself, supplemented by other superforces that can influence the continent's balance. It might be called a federal system. With you, the Hongchen family, and Mingde Hall involved, soul-guiding device technology would develop rapidly in this new order. The best opportunity yet for the Hongchen family to soar. Hallmaster Hongchen, please consider it carefully." Jing Hongchen drew in a deep breath. Silence stretched so long that Shu Yan feared he wouldn't get an answer that day. Finally, Jing Hongchen spoke. "I can't agree to your terms, but you must agree to one thing for me." "Speak," Shu Yan prompted. "This is simple. You marry my granddaughter, Meng Hongchen. In return, I will support you through Mingde Hall and the Hongchen family, and I can bring in the Ming family to jointly establish a new order and world." Shu Yan smiled. Shouldn't Hallmaster Hongchen first ask your granddaughter what she thinks? Jing Hongchen smiled faintly. I know my granddaughter well. In her fantasies, you are her ideal partner. Give you time, and she will be very agreeable. Shu Yan chuckled. I should tell you in advance. I have many women around me. Even if your granddaughter is willing, I won't abandon the others. I know, Jing Hongchen said quietly. Meng has always been sensible. Jing Hongchen closed his eyes. Shu Yan's face flickered with something unreadable, but he didn't push further. He wasn't surprised by Jing Hongchen's decision. The request matched exactly what he wanted. A few days later, the bewildered Meng Hongchen was sent to Shu Yan. The young woman stood before him, her pretty face flushed, a little shy. For a moment, Shu Yan didn't know whether to scold Jing Hongchen or laugh. The old man had definitely broadened his horizons. As Jing had predicted, Meng Hongchen half-idolized him, half-sized him up as an opponent. She was physically drawn to him. Shu Yan was attractive, and she showed no resistance to being around him. What private arrangement Jing Hongchen had reached with Shu Yan remained a secret to Meng Hongchen and to Xiao Hongchen, who'd been put through military-style training by Shu Yan 2 days earlier. With Meng Hongchen and Ye Gai accompanying him, Shu Yan's life in Mingdu became pleasant. He spent time cultivating a rapport with Meng, watched Xiao Hongchen sputter with fury but be powerless to act, and teased Ye Gai, who outwardly resisted but secretly enjoyed the attention. Shu Yan was content. Meanwhile, the Holy Spirit Church was plunged into madness and ruin. Overnight, powerful figures at its headquarters were obliterated. The vice cult master, the chief enshriner, and many enshrined elders and leaders were killed. It was a devastating blow to the once formidable church. Inside the evil forest, Ye Shishui knelt on the ground, cradling an old, shriveled, unrecognizable corpse in her arms. She gently stroked the corpse's cheek, her eyes vacant, but those hollow eyes contained an ocean of grief and resentment, boundless and terrible. Chapter 176, Attack of the Red Dust Brothers and Sisters, Return and Conversation, Family. In the weeks that followed, Shu Yan turned the normally placid Mingdu into chaos. Assassins struck in rapid succession. Crown Prince Shu Tianran and several other senior members of the imperial family were attacked, and the emperor barely escaped with his life. Imperial powerhouses scoured the city, but no trace of the perpetrators was ever found. One particularly bitter result of the raid was Shu Tianran's condition. He had already been partially disabled, paralyzed from the waist down, but after the attack, he was left completely crippled. Shu Yan had even miscalculated. Dozens of level 9 spirit tools shielded Shu Tianran, and the divine artifact space-piercing spear was stopped. But stop did not mean unharmed. The assault left Shu Tianran utterly broken, his cultivation collapsing along with what remained of his body. Given his naturally suspicious, sinister temperament, the prospect of him surviving to control the Sun Moon Empire was deeply worrying. After looting the imperial treasury, Shu Yan withdrew with his usual composure. He made final arrangements with Ming Yining and Jing Hongchen, said a brief farewell to Meng Hongchen, then left Mingdu with Ye Gai by spatial teleportation. He had intended to bring Meng Hongchen back to meet Han Ruoruo and the others, but the young girl declined. She wanted to remain in Mingdu and cultivate in seclusion. Mingdu had once been her stage. Standing next to Shu Yan, so prodigious and overwhelming, had made her feel small. She refused to accept that feeling. After receiving Shu Yan's cultivation gift package, she immediately committed herself to intense self-improvement, swearing to become a spirit emperor and a level 6 soul-guiding device within a year, and to wrest the title of the Sun Moon Empire's top genius from her brother. Xiao Hongchen was flummoxed. Faced with that kind of pressure, he didn't overthink it. He dove headlong into cultivation and study. If his younger sister was going to outshine him, what disgrace would that be for him as an older brother? Yet when he watched her spirit power rise 5 ranks overnight, nearly reaching the Spirit Emperor realm, he couldn't help but be bewildered. He half suspected she had taken some vile pill that traded life for potential. Under persistent questioning, Meng Hongchen finally revealed the truth. "Ch, country bumpkin," she scoffed. "Do you even know what an immortal herb is?" She only teased him more. "Admit that I'm stronger than you and serve me like a slave for 3 months, and I might consider sharing some benefits." Xiao Hongqian had never even heard of an immortal herb, but from her description, it sounded incredible. After Meng Hongqian consumed it, her cultivation had skyrocketed, her potential had increased, and lingering side effects from past pill-assisted cultivation had been cleared. The effects were simply astonishing. Xiao Hongqian hesitated, but his hunger for strength outweighed his pride. He left Mingde Hall that day, clutching a medicinal pill refined from various immortal herbs. It stung his pride, but after Jing Hongqian's inspection and the pill's promising attributes, he swallowed his shame. His sister was still his sister, stubborn but not unkind. Shrek City. A silver flash and Shu Yan and Ye Gai appeared on a busy street, hand in hand. No one noticed their sudden arrival. The crowd was too absorbed in its own affairs. Ye Gai glanced at Shu Yan's large hand enveloping hers and blushed. She squirmed and tried to sound exasperated. "How long do you plan to hold my hand? Let go, or I'll hit you." "Then hit me," Shu Yan replied, unfazed. He pried open her palm and interlaced their fingers more firmly, making her blush deeper. She tried to pull away, but quickly realized she was no match for his strength, so she relented and let him lead her along. Spending time together had made Shu Yan understand Ye Gui better. She was upright, fair-minded, a little tsundere, but that wasn't a flaw. She didn't dislike him. In fact, there was a subtle fondness there. If she truly hated him, she would have summoned her angelic sacred sword and chopped his hand off. At Shrek Academy, Ye Gai's eyes widened. It was her first time on the original Douluo Continent. She had lived in the Sun Moon Empire, and its customs were very different. Seeing Shrek Academy, the top academy in the Spirit Master world with a 10,000-year legacy, stirred a mix of awe and nerves in her. As they strolled the outer courtyard, Shu Yan ran into acquaintances, Bei Bei and the others who often appeared around Sea God Lake. Seeing Shu Yan holding hands with a blonde, the group exchanged glances before Bei Bei greeted them. "Hello, senior brother Shu Yan, senior sister." Their eyes lingered on Ye Gai. From the way the two were holding hands, it was obvious this new blonde woman was close to Shu Yan, perhaps even his girlfriend. But Shu Yan's past companions were all formidable. They wondered what spirit and strength this newcomer possessed. Shu Yan smiled. "Gai isn't a student of the academy, but don't underestimate her. She's currently at Spirit King Cultivation, and in combat she's among the strongest Spirit Kings. Some Spirit Emperors might not even beat her. If any of you want to test yourselves, go ask her." The remark piqued everyone's curiosity. Tang Ya and Yin Yuanshan stepped forward playfully, taking Ye Gai's arms and asking about her. When Ye Gai explained she came from the Sun Moon Empire and had been brought here by Shu Yan, the others were surprised. Ye Gai then mentioned her bloodline. She was a sacred angel spirit master. The crowd fell silent, then understood. This explained much. Shu Yan's mother's spirit had evolved into a sacred angel and later earned the title of Titled Douluo that was known across the continent. Ye Gai also possessed the sacred angel spirit, which created a natural affinity between her and Shu Yan's family. Even if she didn't pair with Shu Yan romantically, she was likely to join the Shu family in the future. Shu Yan then turned to Bei Bei. "I hear you're about to break through to Spirit King. Interested in acquiring a soul spirit?" Bei Bei's face lit up. "If I could get a powerful soul spirit, I would." Shu Yan offered some practical advice. "Train your body first to improve physical quality. Go to Sea God Pavilion and ask for treasures that enhance mental force. When you acquire a soul spirit, if the spirit is at the 5th spirit ring, it should provide you with an effective 5th and 6th ring. Right now, it's hard to increase a soul spirit's age, and the power of spirit abilities depends heavily on the spirit ring's age. So try to find a spirit that's high quality and as old as possible." Bei Bei nodded solemnly. He understood that to gain a strong 6th spirit ring, he needed an aged, powerful soul spirit, not just a shiny new one. After a little more conversation, Shu Yan led Ye Gai toward Sea God Island, and everyone conveniently forgot the academy rule that outsiders couldn't wander the inner grounds. No one dared to bring it up. On Sea God Island, Wu Ming, lounging in the courtyard, saw them and jumped up, barreling into Shu Yan's arms barefoot. Shu Yan scooped her up, teasing while patting her backside affectionately. "Why so excited? I haven't been gone long. Next time, don't run around barefoot." Wu Ming giggled and kissed him on the lips. Because I missed you. I can't sleep without you. Yagai watched from the side and felt a pang of awkwardness and jealousy well up despite her resolve to be composed. Wu Ming noticed Yagai's expression and, whispering into Shu Yan's ear, suggested he go soothe the new little sister. Shu Yan smiled, settled Wu Ming on a lounge chair, then turned to Yagai. Come meet Ruo Ruo. Yagai shot him a sideways glare, but followed obediently. Wu Ming slipped on her shoes and trailed behind. This was a family matter after all, and as the third sister, she insisted on being part of it. At the family gathering, Hanroro took Yagai's hand and chatted warmly. Yagai felt mortified. She could have dug herself a hole and disappeared. No one asked her if she agreed to any of this. They simply welcomed her as part of the family and assumed she would stand alongside them in the future. It was only after she saw their strength that she understood their confidence. Everyone here was powerful enough that even someone like her couldn't help feeling more comfortable among them than intimidated. While Wu Ming and the others showed Yagi around, Han Ruoro personally went to Yan Xiaojia's office and easily secured an inner courtyard student identity for her. Yagi would be staying by their side, and inner courtyard status meant free lodging and food, plus other hidden benefits. The graduation assessment for the inner courtyard student status was a non-issue. Yagai's sacred angel spirit was proof enough. The sacred angel stood for the most righteous spirit force in the world. As long as she lived, she would be a continual scourge of evil. That mattered far more than any standard exam, and even the Academy's senior staff weren't so foolish as to fail to recognize that. After a few days at Shrek Academy, with Yagai now acquainted with Han Roro and the others, Shu Yan took her back to Lingdo City. Her apprenticeship ceremony had yet to be completed, and Yu Bingyan had written several times urging Shu Yan to hurry. Shu Yan understood Yu Bingyan's urgency. Yagai was a sacred angel. Since the seraphim faded into Time's river, the sacred angel was the last shining hope and honor of the angel family. To restore the angel clan's glory, Yagai's presence was indispensable. Chapter 177. Half a year later, Hanroro is pregnant, and Dichuer appears. Time slipped away like sand through fingers. In the blink of an eye, another half year had passed. During that time, Shu Yan had quietly withdrawn from the public eye. He spent long periods in seclusion, sometimes meditating for more than half a month at a stretch. Hanroro and the others didn't dare disturb him without permission. In seclusion, he lost the gentle, attentive manner he usually showed them and grew distant and cold. But it was precisely the right state for cultivation. In just 6 months, Shu Yan completed the first 6 trials of the Space God's examination. His spirit power rose to rank 4, putting him on the verge of becoming a titled Douluo. The mysteries of space had become like points of starlight he could gather and shape. Although he remained a spirit Douluo in name, his spirit power was already accumulating toward godlike force. His mental power approached the demigod threshold, and his mental seed evolved again, fully fusing with his mental sea to form a genuine inner world. Ilaix was particularly fascinated by Shu Yan's inner world. By Ilaix's reckoning, it wasn't vast like a plane, but the level it had reached was extraordinarily high, a quasi-god realm, a nascent god realm. Shu Yan felt the same awe. That astonishing development gave him daring ideas, but for now, his seclusion ended. He breathed in the sunlight and opened the stone door of the secret chamber. The lost daylight fell on him, and he smiled faintly. Only one step away from titled Douluo, he murmured. If I'd had a little more insight, I might have condensed the second soul core during seclusion and broken through. There was regret in his voice, but only a little. His progress had been so rapid that forcing a breakthrough would not necessarily have been wise. After neglecting Hanruoruo and the others for half a year, he decided it was time to be with them again. He stretched, left the chamber, and walked out into the courtyard. The sea mist from Sea God Lake kept the island's summer pleasantly cool. Under the tree shade, Hanruoruo and the others sat quietly, meditating to beat the heat. Shu Yan smiled at the sight of them, but when he approached Hanruoruo, he suddenly stopped, his pupils narrowing. He moved straight to her and took her wrist. Hanruoruo, eyes closed in meditation, opened them in surprise and was immediately struck by the tumult of emotion in Shu Yan's gaze. Yan, what's wrong? She asked, confused. Shu Yan's frown eased. He looked at her soft eyes, reached up to stroke her cheek, and after a long moment chuckled. Nothing much, it's just, Ruo, you might be getting ready to be a mother. Hanroro's relief at first was palpable. Then, as Shu Yan's words sank in, her expression froze, and her hand trembled where it gripped his wrist. Shu Yan gently sat her on his lap and kissed her cheek. The others, who had heard the exchange, snapped to attention. Wu Ming leapt to her feet, excitement written all over her face. Yan, do you mean Ruo's pregnant? She blurted. The others gathered round, peering at Hanroro's flat stomach, which showed no outward sign of change. Shu Yan smiled and explained, You could say that. My mental force sensed a budding life aura inside Ruo. It's extremely faint, almost entirely fused with her own life aura, so faint I almost missed it. So, is she pregnant or not? Ma Xiaotao blurted. You can understand it as Ruo is about to be pregnant, Shu Yan said. But this life aura is unusual. It's forming and developing very slowly, nearly half the speed of a normal pregnancy. Put simply, this little one will need at least 2 years from the first appearance of its life aura to be born. The others found the news strange, but not impossible. The Douluo Continent wasn't only human. There were many half-breed offspring from unions between humans and spirit beasts, snake women, dragon women, tiger women, leopard women. Those races had different gestation cycles. For dragon humans, gestation could range from 5 months to 3 years, and other beast genes also altered development. But both Hanroro and Shu Yan were pure humans, so the slow gestation was puzzling. Ma Xiaotao kneeled beside Hanroro and, laughing, put a hand on her belly. Well, it's kind of understandable. After all, Shu Yan's a monster, so the kid's bound to be a little freak. Maybe this one will be like those seraphim spirit inheritors, innate spirit power rank 20 on birth. Hanroro, flushed with happiness, jabbed Ma Xiaotao playfully. Get out of here. Don't call my baby a freak. If anyone's a monster, it's Shu Yan, not my darling. Ma Xiaotao grinned and conceded. The warmth on Hanroro's face overflowed with maternal love, and Shu Yan felt his heart melt. He hugged her closer and asked softly, How do you feel now that your wish has come true? Hanroro turned to him, eyes bright with emotion. So happy. It feels like a dream. I've loved you since I was little. You're everything to me. You fill my life and give it color. I feel the same, Shu Yan said, holding her tightly. You've always been the most important person in my life. Wu Ming and the others smiled and quietly left the couple to their moment. Everyone knew how vital Hanroro was to Shu Yan. They were open-minded and understood their place. The years of companionship and care between Shu Yan and Hanroro were a bond they couldn't displace. Once they'd confirmed the pregnancy, Shu Yan went to Lingdo City to tell Shuilin and the others the good news, then returned to Shrek City to stay with Hanroro. In his spare time, he also focused on building the Spirit Pagoda. The human side preparations were easy with Shu Yan's influence. Many groups were willing to cooperate. The challenge was the spirit beasts. Developing soul spirits required cooperation with the vicious beasts of the Stardo Great Forest. Just as Shu Yan pondered how to secure that cooperation, fate handed him a surprise. A new student had entered Shrek Academy, one who bypassed the outer courtyard and went straight into the inner courtyard due to extraordinary innate talent. Shu Yan and the girls joined the curious crowd. When he saw the new student, he was stunned. She was tall and slender, dressed in a pale gold form-fitting suit. Golden hair was pulled into a high ponytail, and though she wore a veil, the exposed eyes were gold too, brighter than gold itself. Something about her struck Shu Yan like a flash of recognition. When she noticed him, a sharp glint lit her gaze. Wu Ming, standing beside him, poked Shu Yan playfully and whispered, Yan, why is she looking at you like that? Don't tell me she's one of our sisters. Shu Yan's mouth twitched. He bent his head and answered quietly, It's complicated. I do know her. She's not ordinary. In terms of background, Bei isn't in the same league. Wu Ming's face fell. Behind the auspicious beast is the Stardew Great Forest. The beast gods and vicious beasts there are terrifying. She scolded Shu Yan for his teasing. Shu Yan laughed and suggested she cover for the others so he could talk to the girl. Wu Ming protested, then reluctantly followed. By Sea God Lake, they found the golden-haired girl under a tree. Shu Yan stopped and met her gaze. After a silent moment, he asked, "Did you come on your own, or did your parents bring you?" "With my parents' permission," she replied. Her voice was clear and cool, like mountain snowmelt, cold but pure. "That's good. Your parents didn't come to Shrek City with you, did they?" "No. Since you came to the human world, have you given yourself a human name?" Shu Yan continued. The girl hummed, then said softly, "My name is Di Chuer." "Di Chuer," Shu Yan repeated, surprised by the name. "Why Chuer?" he asked. She thought a moment. "I don't know. It feels destined." Shu Yan smiled faintly inwardly. He looked at her and asked the key question. "Why did you come to Shrek City?" Di Chuer looked at him and answered simply, "It's my lord's will. She told me to come to Shrek City." "My lord." Shu Yan echoed, his mind turning over possibilities. Wu Ming, standing quietly behind them, grew more and more unsettled as she listened. The girl saying she had a lord, and that she had chosen a human name, only increased the air of mystery. When Wu Ming met Di Chuer's eyes, she felt a chill. The aura from the girl subtly pressed down on the golden crow spirit inside her. It felt almost compelled to bow. Shu Yan had expected nothing less. Both the golden dragon and the golden crow were fierce, yang spirits, but in quality the golden dragon was superior. Di Chuer's presence suggested she carried more than a dragon bloodline, a fact that explained why even Wu Ming felt overshadowed. The night ran deep. Light from the lamps drew a scatter of small insects which circled and tapped at the glass, their faint noises blending with the hush of evening, painting a scene of ordinary domestic calm. Everyone sat around the sofa, their eyes fixed on Di Chuer. Some surprised, some curious. Di Chuer kept her composure outwardly, but she couldn't help clutching at her clothes in secret. Hey, why are you all staring at me? I didn't steal your food," she said, forcing a smile. After Shu Yan's explanation, the others finally understood Di Chuer's background. Han Ruoro looked at her for a long moment, wanting to say more but hesitating. At last she decided on a practical kindness. "If Chuer plans to stay at Shrek Academy long-term, stay with us," she said. "I'll arrange for the construction team to build another small house next door tomorrow. It'll be easier for everyone to look out for each other." Di Chuer glanced from Han Ruoro to Shu Yan and then answered softly, "Thank you." She wasn't proud or aloof so much as inexperienced. She simply didn't know how to fit in with Shu Yan and the rest. It felt awkward. After all, they were all one family and she was an outsider. Still, she did not refuse Han Ruoro's offer. She felt something special toward Shu Yan, hard to describe but close and trustworthy. He had once treated her to a huge assortment of pastries from the human world, and though spirit beasts' intelligence surpassed humans, eating the same food over and over grew dull. Human food had been novel and delightful, and Di Chuer had liked it more than she expected. So Di Chuer gradually integrated into the group. She didn't know what trials lay ahead, but she liked this life. After years alone in the Stardew Great Forest, suddenly having companions warmed her. The initial awkwardness faded, and she began to feel the simple comforts of human companionship. The girls knew her true identity and behaved discreetly, and in time, they discovered Di Chuer wasn't as cold as she seemed. She was younger and more naive than she let on, a little thin-skinned, a little tsundere, and actually easy to get along with. Compared to Ling Luochen's original reserve, Di Chuer's outward coolness concealed a softer core. As Shu Yan put it, a bit more training, and she'd come around. Meanwhile, the elders of the Sea God Pavilion were in a fluster. The Academy had recruited a golden dragon genius spirit king, yet scarcely 2 days after joining the inner courtyard, before the Academy had time to make any formal arrangements, she was already living with Shu Yan's group. The elders could barely conceal their resentment. Didn't they leave at least one talent for the Academy? They had no recourse but to bury their disappointment and watch events unfold. Not long after, the Academy saw another major development. Zhang Lexuan, the former senior sister of the inner courtyard, successfully broke through to titled Douluo. With the help of several elders, she traveled to the sea and hunted a 100,000-year silver moon whale king. Having previously absorbed a 100,000-year spirit ring forcibly for her 8th ring, she experienced no accidents with the 9th. After absorbing the new spirit ring and spirit bone, her spirit power surged to rank 92. Upon her return, she confirmed her title Douluo as Silver Moon Douluo Lexuan. Shu Yan found her title choice noteworthy. In the original history, her title had been Moon. Now it matched the Silver Moon title associated with Kong Deming, the Sun Moon Empire's first soul-guiding device. Shu Yan had long suspected a connection between Zhang Lexuan and Kong Deming. Star-type spirits were rare and usually passed down only within certain families or sects. For an ordinary person, to gain a star-type spirit through variation was as unlikely as an ordinary earth dragon becoming a dragon god. Among star-type spirits, the moon spirit was especially singular. Silver Moon had once been a legacy spirit of the Sun Moon imperial family. Kong Deming carried a quarter of that imperial bloodline and therefore pledged loyalty to the imperial family above all else. From Zhang Lexuan's spirit and title, Shu Yan had reason to suspect a link to Kong Deming. Around the same time, Shu Yan discovered another troubling matter. Muen's life force had almost run out. Shu Yan sensed that the remaining vitality in Muen's body might sustain him for no more than half a year. His condition could not be prolonged by infusing life force. It was as if his body were a large broken funnel. No matter how much life force was poured in, it leaked away. Shu Yan felt regret. Muen had been a strong, respectable elder and teacher, worthy, but his time was near. Shu Yan also learned a few things from Dichur after some time together. He had expected most of what she told him. More importantly, he planned to use her as a bridge to open negotiations with the Stardew Great Forest. Dichur's side had already sent an auspicious beast to Shrek Academy, which indicated they were willing to talk and did not come with hostile intent. Dichur understood Shu Yan's design and did not resist. She had already learned about soul spirits from Han Ruro and the others, and the concept had both shocked and fascinated her. But before he could establish a true rapport with the Stardew Great Forest, Shu Yan had a more pressing task, condensing his second soul core and breaking through to title Douluo. He had the foundations for the yin-yang complementary method and intended to use it. The process required time and strict seclusion, so Shu Yan entered another period of intense cultivation. Sea God Island recognized his need for solitude. The whole island grew unusually quiet, and even the normally bustling training grounds fell silent. With his deep foundation, Shu Yan completed the second soul core in nearly a month and a half, officially stepping into the titled Douluo realm. The yin-yang complementary dual soul cores elevated his combat power immeasurably. Rank alone was no longer an adequate measure of his true strength. Even Shu Yan himself could not say how strong he had become. But with the breakthrough came the next challenge, obtaining his 9th spirit ring. Shu Yan had prepared for this. It was time to visit the Clear Sky sect. 300 li east of Heaven-Do City, Shu Yan appeared in the sky and scanned a modest village below before moving into the mountain range behind it. His mental force had already mapped the sect's personnel. Apart from 2 divine beasts from the God realm, the Clear Sky sect had a rank 98 Super Douluo and several other Super Douluo and titled Douluo. It was an imposing force, but Shu Yan noticed something. The sect's Super Douluo were generally very old, many over 150 years, and the rank 98 Super Douluo well over 200, showing severe qi and blood decline. From his condition, Shu Yan judged his lifespan to be less than 10 years. Shu Yan broke through the air without intending to hide his aura. The Clear Sky sect sensed him and panicked. 2 middle-aged men appeared first. The leader had long green hair and green eyes. When he moved, those ordinary-seeming eyes carried an indescribable depth, as though shadows could not hide the overwhelming aura within him. Beside him stood a broad-shouldered man with close-cropped, steel-like hair, a resolute face carved by chisel, brownish-yellow eyes flickering with a faint golden light. Simply standing there, the 2 radiated majesty and force. Shu Yan took them in and murmured the descriptors that passed through his mind in a voice that only he heard. Azure Sky Divine Dragon, Titan Giant Ape. The men regarded Shu Yan closely. Their reaction was immediate, awe and unease. Though he looked like a human youth of barely more than 10 cultivation years, the aura he emitted made them recoil, especially Da Ming, whose dragon bloodline was rarely suppressed. Facing Shu Yan, he felt an instinctive urge to bow. It seems Sea God is very concerned with the lower realm's affairs. Shu Yan said with a small laugh. Deming laughed too, and a vast, distant aura flowed from him, almost divine rank, poised to break through at any moment. The man beside him exuded a heavy, mountainous presence that had clearly reached the limit Douluo domain. Son of Luck, defiance will not serve you, Deming said, his voice lofty and laden with coercive force. He is willing to give you a chance to turn things around. You must voluntarily abandon the God of Space's legacy, sever ties with those mortal women, unite with Donger, and inherit the sea god position. Otherwise, a genius who perishes early does nothing but bring disaster to the world. Shu Yan sneered. When he spoke, his voice rang out clear and cold. Splitting your daughter's soul to seize a spirit beast clan's fate power, violating the iron laws of the god realm to help your parents seize balance for the Douluo Continent, interfering with the Son of Luck's growth, binding him to your daughter, and trying to turn him into your loyal dog. What a sea god you are. What you've done suits the Rakshasa god's position better than even the Rakshasa god himself. Deming and Erming's faces darkened. So you will defy his wishes, Shu Yan. What makes you think you can stand against a god king? Only by submitting to heaven's will can you hope to survive. Heaven's will? Shu Yan mocked. A thin blood-red light flickered in his eyes. Deming and Erming felt a chill run down their spines as much of their vibrant aura seemed to dim under an oppressive presence. Shu Yan's next words burned with contempt. What kind of heaven is Tongsan to be counted as heaven? You two beasts act so arrogantly. Do you truly think I cannot kill you? Heh, today I will use your deaths as steps on my path to heaven. If your sacrifice can be the stepping stones that bring me to the Supreme, that will be the only thing of note in your lives. With that, Shu Yan no longer restrained his aura. A monstrous dragon prestige exploded outward and pushed Da Ming and Erming back 2 steps. Their pupils shrank in disbelief. They had strengthened themselves greatly with Tongsan's assistance and had expected that to be enough to suppress Shu Yan. They had clearly underestimated this unusual Son of Luck. Far away, in the god realm, shock and anger broke free. How is this possible? The view closed in on a grand hall where a young man with long aquamarine hair stood in a storm of suppressed fury. Immortal chi drifted like pale clouds, lending the whole scene a dreamlike haze. Third brother, a gentle voice called. Before the young man could lose himself further in rage, a striking woman in a pale pink dress stepped out of the void and slipped her arm through his. Her hair was bound in a long scorpion-style braid. The touch steadied him, and Tongsan's previously clouded eyes cleared. He reached out and ruffled her head, forcing a smile. Xiaowu, why are you here? Xiaowu hesitated, then asked, Third brother, did something big happen on the Douluo Continent? Tongsan closed his eyes and nodded heavily. Yes, the Douluo Continent's fate is in turmoil. The original Son of Luck was abandoned by the plane, and the new Son of Luck seems to know some secrets and has chosen to oppose me. Things with Mom and Dad are getting worse. Destruction has been monitoring me more closely, and as a God Realm enforcer, I can't intervene as freely as before. Now the Son of Luck has found Da Ming and Erming and intends to kill them for spirit rings. What? Da Ming and Erming are in danger, Xiaowu cried, squeezing his hand. Tongsan shook his head, voice low and grave. It's difficult, very difficult. That Son of Luck is extraordinary. I suspect he isn't native to the Douluo Continent. Da Ming and Erming went to the lower realm for Little Seven. I planned to descend with divine thought to deal with him directly, but destruction and the God of Space seem to be expecting any move from me. If I act now, they'll take advantage. If other matters are implicated, it will be a catastrophe for me. Xiaowu looked close to collapse, but Tongsan supported her and held her close. Xiaowu, don't worry. Deming and Erming have been kind to us. No matter what, I will bring them back. I believe you, third brother, she said, fear and faith mingled in her eyes. Tongsan hummed softly. The situation was unfavorable, and for the sake of the grand design and the ambitions in his heart, he must endure for now. Only by holding back could he wait for the chance to reverse the tide. Chapter 179, Divine Beasts Fall. Advancing to Super Douluo, confessing to Shu Juju. Above the Clear Sky Sect's headquarters, 10,000 meters up, Shu Yan stood watching the 2 divine beasts in their true forms as if looking at corpses. The azure sky divine dragon was a dazzling gold green, its body stretching over 500 meters. It coiled in the sky like a dense green cloud that swallowed the light. The Titan giant ape was even more terrifying. In true form, it stood at least 1,000 meters tall, its stone-like muscles a monument to raw strength. If they had fought on the ground, their aura might have been even higher, but even unrestrained, with both divine beasts unleashing everything, their presence still paled before Shu Yan's aura. Deming had just used the special method that Tang San left in the Clear Sky sect to contact the God Realm and received no reply. He knew what that meant. Someone in the God Realm must be restraining Tang San. In this battle, they would receive no external aid. If they lost here, they were finished. Shu Yan noticed the flicker of apprehension in Daming's eyes and smiled coldly. His seventh spirit ring flared, and in an instant he transformed into a colossal dragon over 1,000 meters long. Its claws ripped the sky and tore open a rift in the void 1,000 meters across. Dark chi poured out from the tear. The azure sky divine dragon, into which Deming had shifted, suddenly felt an oppressive force pressing down, as if suppressed by a higher law, and his true power sank. He could not withstand Shu Yan's swift strike alone. "Brother, I'll take it," Erming rumbled, charging forward like a mountain. An earthy yellow light suffused the air, promising immovable defense. But facing Shu Yan's claw, an attack that seemed to rend heaven and earth, his defense shattered in less than a second. Shu Yan's assault had fused his spirit with a spatial divine artifact and harnessed the divine force of the space origin. Under the plane's suppressing laws, Daming could not reach his former peak. Even with Tang San's aid, his limit Douluo strength was only barely achieved. Confronted with Shu Yan's instantaneous no-warning strike, the two divine beasts had underestimated him. Still clinging to the arrogance of beasts, unable to see Shu Yan for what he truly was, son of luck, inheritor of divinity, the strongest genius on the Douluo Continent in 10,000 years. The attack ripped a bone-deep wound into Erming's chest, slightly to the left. Blood poured like rain. His roar scattered the clouds for kilometers. "Second brother," Daming cried, but before he could aid him, Shu Yan struck again. This time, Daming was hit as well. The two brothers fell from 10,000 meters, pummeled by a barrage of spirit techniques. A deep blue pillar of light cleaved the heavens. The two behemoths crashed down, flattening a towering mountain. When they struck the ground, both had reverted to human forms. Shu Yan descended slowly and planted his foot on Erming's powerful chest. The earth cracked under the pressure. Erming coughed up blood as his chest collapsed. "From the moment you underestimated me, you should have been prepared to lose your lives," Shu Yan said coldly. "Just two divine rank beasts. Do you really think you're that important?" He looked down at them with contempt. Seeing Daming's despair, Shu Yan stamped again. Erming's life force snuffed out in an instant. Divinity fell. Heaven and earth changed color. An earthy golden spirit ring rose from Erming's corpse, its aura far heavier than any ordinary vicious beast ring. Shu Yan then approached the barely breathing Daming. Daming tried to speak, to beg that the sea god would not be defeated, but Shu Yan cut him down and beheaded him. Golden green light and earthy golden light swirled as two divine rank spirit rings encircled Shu Yan. The aura they radiated distorted the surrounding space. This was a divine rank presence, fundamentally different from mere spirit power rings. Snow Empress and the others arrived beside him then. Shu Yan had declined their earlier offers of help. He wanted to test himself. The result had surprised even him. Daming and Erming had been weaker than expected. "How shall we deal with the rest of the Clear Sky sect?" Snow Empress asked. Shu Yan's reply was casual: "Kill anyone with ill intent. In such a large sect, there are many who've long resented these two divine beasts. I've done them a huge favor. They should be grateful." He was right. The two divine beasts had returned to the Douluo Continent 1,000 years ago and seized control of the Clear Sky sect, forcing a proud sect to bow to beasts. Even high-born Clear Sky families with the Clear Sky Hammer spirit lived under their shadow. The beasts forbade Clear Sky cultivators from hunting 100,000-year spirit beasts to obtain spirit rings and spirit bones, stunting their growth and breeding deep resentment. The 98th level super duo of the sect had a painfully basic ring configuration: yellow, yellow, purple, purple, then a string of blacks, proof of how the beasts had hindered the sect's advancement. Resentment would only deepen over generations. Shu Yan knew this instinctively, partly because, the moment the divine beasts died, Shi Ji and the Tianmeng evil emperor had devoured their souls. Divine rank souls were a feast. Lakes had been involved too. Who would let such an opportunity pass? All right, protect me. I'm going to absorb these 2 spirit rings now, Shu Yan said softly, then sat cross-legged. He intended the Azure Sky Divine Dragon's Divine Rank Ring to become the 9th ring for his Yazi spirit, and the Titan Giant Ape's Divine Rank Ring to become the 7th ring for his 2nd spirit. Already, under the flood of energy, all of Shu Yan's spirit rings had climbed into vicious beast level. This configuration, 2 major spirits with such unprecedented high-position rings, was nearly unparalleled. Shu Yan had the confidence and the ability to accomplish what others deemed impossible. As he absorbed them, his body took on 2 distinct imprints from the great spirits and the divine rank rings, but his aura remained steady. He dared do this because, after he'd slain the 2 divine beasts, the god of space had sent a message through the space heart telling him not to worry about Tongsan and to absorb the rings in peace. 3 days later, Shu Yan completed the absorption. The lingering resentment in Da Ming and Ming's souls had barely begun to stir in his mental world before Sheiji greedily swallowed them. Devouring part of 2 divine rank souls pushed her mental force into the demigod domain. The evil emperor and Tianmeng also benefited greatly. Evil emperor's mental force was nearly breaking into the divine rank. With the 2 divine rank spirit rings consumed, the 4 ice attribute soul spirits contributed, together with the remaining 10,000-year mysterious ice marrow, to forge the final 8th and 9th rings for Shu Yan's Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion. Those 2 rings were 1,000,000 years old, true divine rank rings. Shu Yan's spirit power surged and settled at the 95th level. He had only just broken into title Douluo days before. Now he had risen to Super Douluo. That speed of advancement left even the top geniuses stunned. After the divine beasts' deaths, there was little open clamor for revenge in the Clear Sky sect. Snow Empress and the others quickly removed anyone who openly opposed Shu Yan. The new sect master, a 98th level Super Douluo, formally approached Shu Yan and, after a brief exchange, Shu Yan and his group departed. The Clear Sky sect had centuries of legacy and some wise people. Many in the higher ranks had heard the beast's conversation with Shu Yan and, thinking of the sect's survival, made a pragmatic choice. Shu Yan was willing to give the sect a chance, but if they persisted in wrongdoing, he wouldn't mind letting Shi Ji have a meal. From his vantage, reshaping the world's order was inevitable. When humans entered a rapid development era, the old world's dregs would be swept away. Who would remember the sea god of old except in song? Back at Shrek Academy, Shu Yan summarized the campaign for his friends. 2 divine rank spirit bones remained in his storage artifact: the Titan Giant Ape's torso bone and the Azure Sky Divine Dragon's right arm bone. He planned to leave them for his descendants. Parents always want to leave the best to their children, and everyone around him agreed. Word of Shu Yan's rise to Super Douluo spread across the continent. Shu Juju, in Starluo City, immediately messaged him. She had been the only one of Shu Yan's many lovers who had never shared her body with him. She'd vowed to offer herself only when he broke into title Douluo. Shu Yan knew her intentions, but still went to Starluo City to see her. In her princely mansion, he saw another side of the imperial princess. Later, as Shu Juju lay across him, flying into a private heaven, Shu Yan finally told her his grand plans for the future. She stiffened at what she heard, staring into his eyes until he said softly, "Juju, there is no room for compromise." She asked at last, "Is there nothing at all you would change?" Shu Yan shook his head gently. "This world needs to integrate resources to develop rapidly. That's the trend. No one can change my mind, but I won't treat your Shu family unfairly. I'll find a divine position fitting for you and make you a divinity. When the Federation is established, your Shu family will be a leading force within it. When the plane evolves, your family will be among the first to benefit. I already have a method to evolve the plane. Do you know what that means?" Limit Douluo will no longer be the ceiling for humans and spirit beasts. True divine rank powerhouses will be born from this world. There are a lot of things I must do. You're clever. I believe the Star Luo imperial family will make the right choice. He stroked her cheek. Complex emotions swam in Shujuju's eyes, but Shu Yan's gaze wore her down. I will honestly convey this to my imperial brother, she said at last. But right now, she added, this princess is in a very bad mood and needs to vent. She propped herself up on his chest and, to Shu Yan's mild surprise, sat down hard. Chapter 180, Muen's Passing, Final Arrangements. Time flows like a river that cannot be turned back. No matter how unwilling any of them were, it kept moving quietly forward. The continent's turbulence had slowly settled, and even the Sun-Moon Empire, long coveting their lands, had postponed its plans for war, at least for now. The undercurrents that had surged so wildly seemed to be calming at last. For a moment, everything felt as if it had returned to how it had been 100 years ago. Shu Yan opened his eyes from meditation with a start. He felt an anomaly from the sea god pavilion and knew immediately what had happened. He sighed, lifted his hand, and opened a spatial doorway. Stepping through it, the silver light that had filled the room vanished with the closing of the portal, and the area around the sea god pavilion fell into darkness. Inside, Muen lay quietly on a recliner. Over this long decline, his hair had all fallen away. His life force had nearly run out, and he barely opened his eyes. If it weren't for the long years everyone had known him, no one would have guessed that this frail old man, feeble and on the brink of death, was the strongest expert of Shrek Academy, the Limit Douluo, dragon god Muen. Xuanzi stood silently by the bed, surrounded by the other elders of the sea god pavilion. Yan Xiaojie, Kai Meier, Xian Liner, and Qian Duoduo. Xuanzi's usually bloodshot, wine-dark eyes were unexpectedly clear now, but they held an unspeakable worry and confusion. The sight of the gathered students outside, however, steadied him a little. Their presence brought a faint measure of consolation. Outside the sea god pavilion, 67 inner courtyard disciples sat cross-legged in quiet formation before the door. At the front sat a young woman of about 25 or 26, Zhang Lexuan, chief disciple of the inner court. She had an exquisite face and a composed, gentle manner. Her dark eyes shone with a moon-like tranquility that made her unforgettable, but today those eyes were rimmed with sorrow. Lexuan had known Muen more closely than most of the disciples. She had been treated kindly by him, perhaps even burdened at times by his decisions, but he had also made amends when needed. Practical and clear-sighted, she nonetheless could not accept that this day had come. All she could do now was be here to see Muen off. With his passing, the stabilizing presence that had guarded Shrek Academy for 2 centuries would truly become history. Thinking of the Sea God Pavilion as more than an academy, thinking of it as home, brought 2 clear tears down Lexuan's perfect cheeks. Shu Yan appeared inside the pavilion without ceremony. He glanced at the students outside before approaching Muen. Only a few of the outside visitors were present, Bei Bei among them. Muen, who had been half unconscious, opened his dim eyes and fixed them on Shu Yan. They brightened to a deep sea-blue clarity. His gaze briefly lingered on Bei Bei, then settled on Shu Yan. Shu Yan stepped forward and said softly, "Muen." Muen nodded lightly, then, with the weight of his office, spoke solemnly. "Shu Yan, I ask you one last time in my capacity as Sea God Pavilion Master, will you accept the position? If you will, I will declare it now. You would become the new Sea God Pavilion Master immediately, with no one to question it." A tremor went through everyone in the pavilion, but no one objected. Shu Yan's strength and reputation made him a natural to hold the post. Many would have expected it. Still, Shu Yan answered plainly. "Muen," he said, "I told you a long time ago that I'm not suited to be Sea God Pavilion Master. Lexuan, Xiaotao, Bei Bei, their futures will not fall short. Any of them would be more suitable than I am." Muen's face fell a little at Shu Yan's refusal, but he had anticipated it. He accepted the reply with measured calm. "So be it, but before I leave, for the sake of our past, I ask that you watch over the Academy. The Sun-Moon Empire's ambitions are obvious. The continent's future will soon change in shocking ways. I have attempted divination many times without finding a clear path forward. Shu Yan, you are a divinity inheritor, Perhaps you know more than I. I have a vague sense that you will be an important factor in the fate of this world, perhaps even the one who guides it. Whatever the future brings, I hope you walk it steadily. Don't sink into a quagmire or lose your way." Muen sighed softly and let his thoughts wander through the years. In life, 9 out of 10 things are unsatisfactory, and only 2 or 3 people can truly be confided in. I have spent my life protecting Shrek Academy, watching wave after wave of students grow. In my old age, it is looking at all of you that keeps my heart from decaying. Heaven has been kind to me. Though I have regrets, I have been fortunate. If everything ends here, then this will also be a release. He looked over everyone in the pavilion one last time, then began to put affairs in order. Under his direction, Yan Xiaojie, Shan Liner, Kai Mayer, and the other elders came forward as he outlined plans for their futures, his final provisions for his disciples and juniors. Finally, he beckoned Bei Bei and Tang Ya, who moved up together. Bei Bei addressed him, "Ancestor." Muen smiled gently and fixed his eyes on the 2 young people as if seeing 2 familiar reflections. "Bye-bye," he said. "You are the only heir to my bloodline. Your parents died young on their mission. That pain has always been with me. In you I see the legacy of the light bloodline. Though your spirit only shows the mutated power of the light saint dragon only in a semi-mutated state, that is not necessarily a disadvantage. Your ancestor is about to leave. Let me stabilize your light saint dragon bloodline. From this day, you must work to become stronger and to walk your own path as the blue lightning light tyrant dragon." He placed his frail hand on Bei Bei's forehead. For an instant, the sea god pavilion flared bright. Golden light poured out. Bei Bei gave a grunt and collapsed, golden lightning dancing along his form as roars of dragon power erupted from within him. Even at the last moment of his life, Muen, one of the few limit Douluos who could communicate with the golden tree and wield the sea god's light, was able to draw on its power. He poured that gift into Bei Bei. Afterwards, Muen's aura weakened further, and his hand sank loosely to his side. Then he turned to Tangya. "Xiaoya, 10,000 years ago, the first-generation Shrek 7 Devils were all Tang sect disciples. With the evolution of spirit tools and the loss of talent in the Tang sect, it has gradually declined. Shrek Academy maintains neutrality among the continent's nations, so the Academy cannot reverse the Tang sect's fortunes. Watching their decline has pained me. It was at my urging that Bei Bei went to find you and joined the Tang sect. The Tang sect has seen some improvement, but it is not enough. I hope that under your leadership, the Tang sect can once again become a top power capable of influencing the continent's balance. I have spent my life protecting Shrek. Even now, I make this choice before I die. If I bear infamy afterward, I will not regret it." Muen then addressed Xuanzi and the other elders. "When I am gone, Xuanzi will temporarily act as Sea God Pavilion Master. Xiaojie, focus on resolving your heart-nature issues. I give you 10 years. If you are still unable to change after 10 years, step down as Dean and enter the Sea God Pavilion. Mayor will take over as Dean. Promote that girl Lexuan to Vice Dean of the Wuhan Department and have her join the Sea God Pavilion. If Ruo Ruo is willing, she may also join the pavilion as an attendant. As for who will ultimately inherit the title of Sea God Pavilion Master in the future, I trust they will make the right choice." His voice grew thinner as his remaining life slipped like a candle in the wind, but he issued one final decree. From this day on, vigorously develop the Soul Guide system and encourage integration between Wuhan and the Soul Guide system. The Soul Guide system requires great funding, so 50% of the income from all Academy industries in Shrek City is to be allocated to it. If one day the Soul Guide system produces a divine rank soul guiding device, that device's creator shall inherit the position of Sea God Pavilion Master. The elders bowed and answered in unison. Muen had long believed this development necessary. Shu Yan had once been advised to push for it at an appropriate moment. Now, his passing provided the most fitting opportunity. Muen exhaled quietly as he murmured a few lines of parting thought. Something about black and white twin dragons and reunions after death. Then his voice swelled unexpectedly. A strong golden light burst from his body. "Ancestors of Shrek," he declared, "Muen has arrived." As those words faded, Muen's body rose slowly. Bathed in brilliant light, his shriveled frame visibly filled out. Spirit rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, 3 black, and 3 red, rose from beneath him and floated upward. He became youthful again in the golden glow, his face taking on a resemblance to Bei Bei. He looked over everyone once more, lingering on Shu Yan, and smiled with relief. With a gentle wave of his right hand, he bid his final farewell. Golden dragon scales erupted from his body and spread quickly, covering him completely. A clear dragon roar rang out as the sea god pavilion turned a dazzling gold. A massive pillar of golden light shot up into the sky, illuminating all of Shrek Academy and even Shrek City. Muen laughed, a bright, relieved sound, and transformed into a white dragon suffused with golden light. He vanished into the heavens. Above Shrek Academy, a colossal white dragon appeared, blotting out part of the sky. Dragon roars echoed, and the golden radiance washed over the world like a sea. Its terrifying might spread outward, and the light poured down and enveloped Sea God Island. Every living thing there, from spirit masters to the smallest insect, felt a faint golden mist settle on them. They sensed a purifying power cleansing impurities, compressing and refining their spirit power. It was Muen's final gift to Shrek Academy. Many wept openly. They disregarded everything else and sat to meditate, accepting the blessing. Shu Yan stepped out of the Sea God Pavilion and walked among the inner courtyard disciples before pausing in an open courtyard. He looked up at the great white dragon. The dragon seemed to notice him. With a movement of its massive body, it released a roar that shattered and scattered clouds and mists for thousands of miles. The blast reached even the Forbidden Land at the heart of the Stardew Great Forest. Countless powerful spirit beasts were startled awake. Many fled in all directions, while some of the stronger ones raised their heads and looked north with solemn gazes. The light saint dragon's aura was so intense they shuddered. Suddenly, a heavy dark force wrapped around the Forbidden Land, isolating the dragon's roars and power from penetrating it. In the center of that sealed area stood a single tall figure. No other beasts were near. Detien's expression was strangely calm as he stared north. Then, after a long, deep look, a hint of surprise crossed his face. He did not linger. His figure vanished from the spot.